UTEP won this one last year 30-3 up in Las Cruces at Aggie Memorial Stadium, so they have the bragging rights coming into tonight as Ethan Albertson kicks it away. It'll be the Miners on offense to start things off. It goes into the end zone for a touchback, so the Miner offense will take over 1st and 10, and it's been an offense that under Dana Dimmel, Mike, you're used to seeing ground and pound, long sustaining drives, a lot of running, but they're coming off a week at Oklahoma where they felt the Sooners were more susceptible through the air. So Gavin Hardison threw the ball 42 times for 244 yards, 26 of 42 in that one. No touchdowns, no interceptions, but Gavin Hardison, the true leader, redshirt junior out of Hobbs, New Mexico, getting set to make now his 23rd career start.
Yeah, you know, Gavin, when you have a quarterback like Gavin, it's always so good. I mean, your offense is set, and I foresee him having a big game tonight.
Ronald Awatt, the starting running back, but they go to the air, and that pass is incomplete. He was looking for Tyron Smith, the junior, who is really being asked to do a lot this year. He had initially entered the transfer portal after last season, which would have been a big blow to the Miners, but decided to return. Why is it such a big blow? Because, of course, they lose their two top targets from a year ago. Jacob Cowing transferred to Arizona, and Justin Garrett, who graduated. Between those two, Mike, 119 receptions for over 2,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. And Cowing arguably is one of the most electric wide receivers in all of college football.
You're right, Eric. And, you know, UTEP is looking for playmakers. Football is a game that's won by playmakers. And when you don't have, you know, a few or a pair, it's going to be tough. And that's what UTEP is looking for. I know I've been talking to Coach Dimmel. He's looking for some of these younger receivers to step up, and they need that. They need that as a team.
Gavin Hardison's 26 completions last week was a career high. A timeout here taken early by UTEP. It looked like there was some confusion in the huddle. Certainly not the start that Dana Dimmel wanted. Both coaches really wanted to get out to a fast start in this one. Neither team has scored a point in the first quarter in their first two games this season. So whoever delivers that first punch could make themselves at least much more likely to have a better night tonight.
You know, Eric, when you're a favorite team, you want to go ahead and establish your, you know, the factor right away. The longer you let a team hang around, the more dangerous they become. So UTEP really needs to get going early.
So 3 seconds into the game, and UTEP's already burned a timeout. Go for another play action here. Hardison on the rollout will tuck it and run and step out of bounds just shy of the 35-yard line. He's pushed at the last minute there. The UTEP sideline is hoping for a flag there, but no laundry on the field. But it is a pickup on second down of about 9, they'll mark it, so it'll bring up 3rd and short.
Yeah, I've seen Gavin run a lot this year, and I'm not a big fan of having the quarterback run, but I know that Coach Dimmel and his staff love to use the quarterback being more mobile. The only problem is you can take a big shot when you run a lot. So hopefully it doesn't happen.
Took a few of them in that North Texas game in week 1. Didn't use the legs as much against Oklahoma. They have their first handoff of the night to Ronald Awatt. He gets across the 35-yard line. That's enough to move the chains. So a first down, and the Miners will have it at about the 36. 1st and 10. First carry of the night for Ronald Awatt. We kind of expected a thunder and lightning coming into this season from the UTEP Miners. Ronald Awatt, Deion Hankins, the redshirt sophomore out of here in El Paso at Parkland High School. But both have been pretty slow to start. The running game has been pretty much non-existent through 2 weeks.
And that's what's been surprising. I thought the running game would be a lot better with the two, backs that are very capable and an offensive line that returns 3 starters, but it just hasn't happened just yet.
Second straight carry for Awatt, and he's met up by a slew of Aggie defenders.
Yeah, there was not a whole lot of room on that right side, and that's the strongest side for them to run the ball to. And New Mexico State's pretty stout on their defensive front, but we're going to have to run the ball better because it sets up a lot of your play action, a lot of your draws and screens that UTEP likes to use. But we've got to run the ball better.
Aggies run a 4-2-5 scheme, so the two linebackers are the two guys to keep your eye on, Chris Ojo and Trevor Brohard. Here's the first carry of the night for Deion Hankins, a big body at 6 feet, 215 pounds. He's considered more of the Thunder. Ronald Awatt more of the Lightning, but not much running room there for Deion Hankins. Hankins has showed some real flashes, especially in his first year in the COVID-shortened season. He averaged about 5 yards per carry, had 9 touchdowns, and just shy of 600 yards rushing, but last year missed 3 games due to injury. And after a fast start early on, He had the nagging injuries throughout the year, ended up with just under 500 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns, but his average went down just under 4 yards per carry. And so far this season, that was just his 7th carry of the season. He has 6 carries, 15 yards coming into tonight. Hardison finds his tight end, Trent Thompson, dragging a defender into Aggie territory, just shy of the 40-yard line. And on 3rd and 8, another third down conversion for this Miner offense. That one a little more challenging than the previous 3rd and 1. And the first catch of the season for Trent Thompson.
And I like what Gavin Hardison did there. He started feeling the quarterback clock going off on his head, and he stepped up into the pocket and looked across the middle and found his tight end. Nice conversion for the Miners, but they got to find a way to stay ahead of the sticks and get in positive first and second down situations.
Pickup of 20 yards to set up that first down. Here's Awat with a little more running room off the right side. Plunges his way across the 35-yard line. They'll mark him down actually right at the 35, and that's a pickup of about 7 yards. They'll bring up 2nd and 3.
And Eric, when you stay ahead of the sticks like the Miners are now, for the offensive coordinator, it opens up your whole bag of tricks. You can go play action, you can go screens and draws, you can do whatever you want because you're ahead of the sticks. And this is what UTEP has to do, to sustain drives and go score. They're off to a pretty good start.
2 for 2 on 3rd downs already in this drive. That was a sore spot coming into tonight. They were just 12 of 33, just 36%. That pass is deflected and will fall incomplete. Otherwise, Ray Flores might have had a little bit of room and at least a first down. B.J. Skulark, the junior transfer out of Houston Baptist, a couple of years ago. He played 4 games for the Aggies last year, but he knocked that down and disrupted that play to set up another 3rd and 3.
Yeah, Eric, you're right. If Skulark doesn't deflect that ball at the line, Ray Flores could probably score if he makes a move on that safety coming over the top. That was a nice play. So
that brings up another 3rd down. I mentioned the Miners 2 for 2 on this drive on 3rd downs. Aggies have had a hard time stopping on 3rd down, giving up 61% of 3rd downs, and it looks like another one here. This is going to depend on the spot. The officials coming in right at the first down marker. I think Ronald Awat will have enough, and now they signal to move the chain. So now 3 for 3 on 3rd down conversions in this opening drive for the Miners.
You know, Eric, how important it is to get in good down and distances. When 3rd and 4 or less, the offense has about a 60% advantage. But if you go 3rd and 5, it switches over to the defensive side. So that 1 yard makes a big difference. But that was a nice gain there by, was that?
That was Awat.
Awat, yep. That was a nice run because he was hit initially and, fought forward for the distance to get the first down.
About 4.5 minutes into this opening drive. First drive of the game here for UTEP. That play's busted from the start, so Hardison's going to try and make something out of it. And he's able to get up across the 30-yard line for a positive gain. They were trying to set up that bubble screen, but New Mexico State was all over it.
Oh, they read that from alignment because you saw that safety jumped right on it. And Gavin did a really good job of diagnosing that because had he thrown it, that could have very easily been a pick 6 going back the other way. So that's the way to make something out of nothing.
And that's part of the progression of Gavin Hardison, now a redshirt junior, came out of New Mexico Military Institute. Dana Dimmel told me earlier this week the thing he's most impressed about him this year compared to previous 2 years is his decision-making.
Yeah, it's a very good point, Eric. Everything slows down for you as you get more experience, and that was a big part of experience right there, not making a mistake.
Hankins with a little cutback up across the 25-yard line will bring up another 3rd and short.
Again, a very favorable down and distance. It opens up the whole package for your offensive coordinator. And right now, Dana Dimmel's probably told his coordinator or had a conversation about, we got 2 yards, you got 2 downs, or, take your pick here because you're in a very good spot on the field and you're a very good down and distance as well.
Aggies have had a couple of tackling issues, especially in that road game against Minnesota last Thursday. Jerry Kill challenging his defensive line this week, saying they need to play lower. Awat gets the carry, trying to find the outside, and he's taken down by Cyrus Dumas. Otherwise, Awat has that first down and potentially the end zone. So there's the first 3rd down stop by the Aggie defense. And now it's decision time for Dana Dimmel. And it looks like the offense will stay out on the field for 4th and 3, although that was a loss of 1. So it'll make it, they'll call it no gain, so still 4th and 3.
Yeah, Awat was trying to get outside, but at that point you've got to fall forward for those 2 or 3 yards. It looked like he would have been pretty close, but he tried to hit the home run, and the cornerback made a nice shoestring tackle to, stop him for a loss.
Cyrus Dumas, one of the returners for this Aggie defense. Here's 4th down. And the pass is caught by Ray Flores for the first down, and he's just shy of the 10-yard line. And the Miners get into the red zone, so they didn't get their first time tonight. They didn't convert on 3rd down, but they convert on 4th down and move the chains again.
Yep. And again, like I told you before, that you had 2 downs to get those 2 yards, and you still have a pretty good playbook to go with that down and distance. So very good sustained drive by the Miners so far. They're looking very good on offense.
That's something we've seen a lot from Dana Dimmel in this offense over the years. If they're 3rd and short, they're not afraid to try and run the football, knowing they'll go for it on 4th down. Awatt lowers the shoulder, but he's met up nicely and taken down by linebacker Chris Ojo.
Yeah, Ojo's a really good player. He's in on a lot of tackles. He came untouched right there and just, met Awatt up in the hole, and they both put their shoulders down into each other, and it was a nice collision, but really nowhere to run for Awatt.
Ojo, the senior out of Sunland, California, spent his first 4 seasons at Eastern Washington before transferring to New Mexico State. Was a starter last year, and now one of the leaders on this defense once again this year for the Aggies. One of 2 linebackers, him and Trevor Brohar. That snap a little bit high. Hardison able to handle it, kind of botches the play. Now he throws one into the end zone. It was open, but Ray Flores couldn't reach it. The whole play was disrupted from the beginning with the high snap, and it was a bit helter-skelter. But the Miners still had a chance there, and Hardison just couldn't hook it up with Ray Flores in the end zone.
And you know what, Eric? It's so important. Even though it's off by a yard or 2 one way or another, it throws the timing of the play off, and your quarterback's eyes has to go towards the ball. And that split second that you take off, you take your eyes down to find the ball from what you're looking downfield could just really disrupt you. And that happened on that play. It was unfortunate because he had Mr. Flores in for an easy touchdown.
And it was Ojo once again in the face of Hardison. Now it's 3rd and 9, so a 3rd and long. Hardison with time, lots of time. Now the play breaking down. He throws on the run, and it's incomplete, tipped. Kelly Akari got his hand on it, and he had some space, but he couldn't corral it.
Yeah, he had a lot of time, but there was really nobody open, and he scrambled around and get his receivers time to find an open space, but just nothing opened up.
Akari, the transfer out of JUCO Tyler Junior College. And that'll bring on Gavin Beckley for the field goal. He was 2 for 2 last week with a 54 career long and a 48-yarder, 4 of 5 on the year. His only miss was the first kick of the season on the opening drive of the year, a good drive by UTEP, and he ended up missing a 41-yarder. This one is up and good to give the Miners an early 3-0 lead. A 17-play drive on the opening series by the Miners took off just over 8 minutes of this opening quarter clock on the opening drive. And the Miners have a 3-0 lead. We'll take a timeout with them, and we'll see the New Mexico State offense for the first time. A beautiful night for football here inside the Sun Bowl. 89 degrees. Wind's not really a factor. Humidity not too bad. The only time El Paso really gets some humidity is during this monsoon season. And it is a beautiful night. Of course, the opener a couple weeks ago here against North Texas was disrupted and delayed at the start because of lightning in the area. They had a sellout crowd for the first time since 2008. And it put a little bit of a damper on the start. And, of course, the second half was a complete damper for the Miners as a team. But a 3-0 start in this one for UTEP as Gavin Beckley kicks it away into the back of the end, through the back of the end zone. And we'll get our first look at the Aggie offense. Coming into this one 0-2 on the year, only averaging 6 points per game. Those 6 points coming, I should say, after a shutout against Minnesota a week ago. On a Thursday night, 38-0 loss. They lost at home in the opener 23-12. And this officially now will be the first career start for Gavin Frakes, the true freshman out of Norman, Oklahoma. Diego Pavia had started the first 2 games, but it's Frakes who heads out on the field for the first start. He becomes the first starter, true freshman starter, since 2014 for the Aggies. And his first play as the starter is a handoff to the running back, Jamani Jones.
Yeah, it's a real nice play by Kelton Moss coming off of his block and tackling the back for a minimal gain. But it's going to be important, Eric, today for the Miners defensive front to really, show their dominance. Like we talk all year about how good they were going to be. Well, it's time to show it. They really got to play a good game and kind of let everybody else feed off of it.
Frakes is a big guy, 6'4", 220 pounds. 2 of 7 last week for 43 yards and an interception at Minnesota. Set up the screen play here, and it's working well for Jones, who has a first down up across the 40-yard line. And check that, that's Amonte Watkins, the transfer from TCU. He's a speedster, 200-meter and 100-meter state champion in high school. And you want to get him in the open field and get him off and running. Tripped up by Dennis Barnes on the play, but there's the first completion in the first career start for Gavin Frakes. Good way to settle a true freshman in with a nice screen pass. Here on the end around, big hole. And it's Jonathan Brady all the way into UTEP territory. He's pushed out of bounds. Looks like they'll mark it at about the 25-yard line. And just like that, a big play for the Aggies.
Yeah, as we spoke about, during our time pregame, Eric, big plays are the major determinant of who's going to win the game. UTEP's only had 2 big plays all year long. I think New Mexico State's only had 1, but this was a big play, the first one of this game, and that's going to go far in determining who wins this matchup.
Frakes will toss it out. There is a flag on the play and a loss on the play as Praise Mehule got in the backfield and was able to take down Jones. We'll see what the flag is.
Looks like there's going to be holding against the Aggies. Oh, chop block.
A personal foul. Our head referee tonight, Michael Vandervelde, with the call, a 15-yard penalty. After the drive had been going really well for the Aggies. That one will now push them all the way back to the 40-yard line and bring up 1st and 25.
Yeah, Eric, that's a drive killer there, and now you're behind the sticks after some very positive plays. This is just a drive killer.
So Frakes now standing at his 45-yard line. They run the reverse, get Jonathan Brady in space again. He had the big play a moment ago. Has room again here. Gets a block from Frakes, and he almost gained back all of the personal foul there on that play. Pickup of about 12 or 13 on the play. And we've seen 2 big plays now from Jonathan Brady, who is their kick returner, so he likes to get out in space. Coming into tonight, the freshman out of Las Vegas, Nevada, had just 2 catches for 16 yards on the stat sheet, but already showing up in a big way.
Yeah, it's a very nice play design and very nice play call by their offensive coordinator for the Aggies. He's had 2 really good calls so far, and they've both gone for pretty good-sized gains.
You just saw Jerry Kill in his first season taking over the helm here at New Mexico State. Frakes pass deflected, an interception. It was popped up in the air, and it's intercepted by the linebacker Tyrese Knight. So after things were going so well for New Mexico State on their opening offensive series, disaster.
That was a really good play by Tyrese, following the ball and making the big interception. Again, Eric, these are all big plays. Turnovers are very important in this game, is determining who's going to win who's going to come out victorious, and that's a very good turnover. That's one of my big keys for the defense is to create turnovers, and this is the first one they've created, I think, all season. No, they've had one against North Texas.
Right.
So this is their second one.
And that was a sore spot for both defenses, trying to create the turnovers. They hadn't really done it through the first 2 games each, and it's the Miner defense on the opening series for them, getting the interception. Tyrese Knight, the senior out of Lakeland, Florida, and we're going to take a timeout as the Miner defense comes up big, and the offense will be back on the field with a 3-0 lead. Miner offense back on the field after the interception by Tyrese Knight. It was Blake Thompson on the defensive line who got the deflection in the air. And now the Miners will take over 1st and 10. Little dump off to James Tupou, and a late flag comes in, and it looks like the Miners will be able to tack on an extra 15 yards at the end of this. Chris Ojo came up into the face of Gavin Hardison right after he released it, and that flag was thrown right where that happened. I imagine this will be a roughing the passer.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. They're getting pretty strict on what you can do to the quarterback. Anytime he gets out of the pocket, he took a full 2.5 steps, and anytime you do that, it's going to be an easy call.
And that is, in fact, the call. So Chris Ojo, personal foul, roughing the passer, in addition to the catch there from James Tupou. So that'll move the ball already up to the 46-yard line. And what a momentum swing. It looked like the Aggie offense really came out ready to play. First career start for the true freshman, Gavin Frakes, and then a tip pass interception, followed by a personal foul penalty, and the Miners are already up near midfield. And Awatt's got a seam, racing down the sideline inside the 30, and he's chopped down just shy of the 20. And it's a big play for Ronald Awatt, his best run of the season. And just like that, the Miners now back in the red zone and a chance to really do some damage here.
Yeah, that was a real nice run by Awatt. He hit that full speed, caught the corner and took off. But Eric, you're right. New Mexico State's offense was just moving down the field, and they had that penalty, and then they got hit with the interception, and now just totally killed their momentum. UTEP really has to take advantage of this.
Touchdown saving tackle by the strong safety Bryce Jackson, the transfer out of UNLV, grad transfer. We'll see what the Miners can do here with Awatt breaking a couple of tackles and pushing his way forward up to the 11-yard line. That's not going to be a good sight if you're Jerry Kill and this Aggie sideline. The Miners are really churning the feet and after contact able to get some extra yards.
Yeah, well, good point, Derek. That's a really good run. That's a tough run. It's not always going to be clear in there. You're going to have to, get through some arm tackles and make yards when it's not going so well. And that was a really nice, tough run by Awatt up the middle.
Gabe Peterson was there to make the play but couldn't. So a missed tackle, and it ends up being a gain of 7, 2nd and 3. Now here's Hankins with some space. And he tries to bowl over a couple of Aggies. He's not easy to bring down. He's going to have enough for a first down, so it'll bring up 1st and goal.
Yeah, that's good, tough running. Anytime you run between the tackles, it takes a man to run in between the tackles. And, fortunately for the Miners, they've got 2 really good ones that can get up in there and do some damage.
Bringing in a bigger package now with a second tight end. Zach Fryer checking in.
This is
and
where
James Tupou, the fullback. So you got a big set here.
Yeah, Eric, this is where it gets important. I mean, you're down at the 6-7 yard line. You've got to find a way to punch it home.
The lone wide receiver on the field right now is Ray Flores, top of your screen. Give it back to Hankins, who drops the football, although it's on the turf, and it looks like the Aggies have it. Hankins just never got the exchange cleanly from Hardison. And after the Aggies committed the turnover a few moments ago, now it's the Miners shooting themselves in the foot. Fumble on the play and a huge, costly turnover, likely taking points off the board for UTEP.
Again, it just looks like the center quarterback snap is just off for some reason, and it's just not getting there.
And it's Lama Lavea, the local guy out of Chapin High School here in El Paso, Texas, recovering the fumble. Aggies take back over after the turnover with just under a minute to play in the first quarter when we come back. A fumble in the red zone for the Miners gives the ball back to New Mexico State at their own 10-yard line with 56 seconds left in this first quarter. It looked like the Miners were poised to go up potentially 10-0, and instead it's back on offense for the Aggies. And a tough run there on first down from Jamani Jones. Gavin Frakes still in at quarterback, making his first career start after Diego Pavia started the first 2 weeks. Both played, and wouldn't be surprised if we see Pavia in this one. Miners bringing pressure. Frakes on the run, gets rid of it just in time and throws it away. He's taken down in the end zone behind the play. Several Miners in the backfield there, including Jadrian Taylor and the linebacker Tyrese Knight, who had the interception on the last drive.
Yeah, it's a really nice, aggressive call by defensive coordinator Pivito. He just came after him on that, trying to get the youngster to say, welcome to college football. But you're right on that previous offensive series. I mean, it's a double whammy because, finishing drives is so important, get in the red zone, and then the turnover. So you lost 2 of the big 5 predictors that determine who's going to win the game.
And it was a self-inflicted wound. It was just a bad exchange between Hardison and Hankins. Hankins never got his hands on it.
Very true.
Here's third down. Frakes gets rid of it just in time, but there's nobody in the area. Falls incomplete. If he held on to that for another split second, he would have been taking a shot on the back. And that'll be a quick 3 and out. So after the Miners shoot themselves in the foot with the turnover, at least the defense for them comes out and responds to the tune, I should say, of a 3 and out, and potentially still getting some good field position out of this.
Yes, very good. And that's another point you bring up. Field possession is so important in determining who's going to win the game. So this is a really good stop by the defense to continue with positive field possession for the offense. So it's a really good stop, 3 and out by the Miner defense.
Josh Carlson standing just inside his end zone. It's a high spiraling good punt away. Chases back the return man for UTEP, Marcus Bellin.
We got a flag.
And a fair catch and a flag. It's at the 35-yard line.
So there's going to be a holding on the Miners, it looks like.
It is a hold on the Miners.
That's
going to push the ball back even more.
That's a killer penalty there with a fair catch and, already in place. I know the return, there's our blocking, doesn't know that, but that just compounds what we talked about. Now your positive field possession is gone.
Travion Ballard was called for the hold, and that pushes the ball all the way back to the 23-yard line. A big punt from Carlson.
That was a really nice punt. Anytime your punter can turn over field possession like that, it's really vital. Much longer way for the offense to go and get points now, but nice job of the special teams by the Aggies to turn over field possession.
Punt was over 50 yards, and now you had the 10-yard penalty as well. With 20 seconds left in this first quarter, the Miners starting the offense at the 23-yard line. Hardison with a long throw across the field to Flores. Felt like it took forever to get there, but Flores able to make the catch just across the 35-yard line, and on first down they move the chains.
That was an impressive throw by Gavin Hardison. He had somebody right in his face, and anytime you throw an outside to the on out-breaking routes, you don't want anybody in your face, but that was about a 45-yard route in air, and you're right, it did take a long time to get there, but luckily it was a nice completion for the Miners.
That is a long throw across the field for about a 12-yard gain. It'll be the final play of the first quarter. Miners with a 3-0 lead over New Mexico State. Both teams with a couple of critical turnovers in that first quarter, but it's UTEP on top by 3. We're back with the second quarter after. Set to start the second quarter in the 99th Battle of I-10 between these two rivals, UTEP and New Mexico State. Separated by just 45 minutes, up by 10. Miners winning 30-3 on the road in Las Cruces in the season opener week 0 last year, and up 3-0 in this one. And before the snap, it'll be a penalty against the Miners for a false start. So it'll push it back 5, 1st and 15.
Yeah, again, Eric, it just looks like the center's off because the right side of the line is moving before the ball is in motion. It just looks, out of sorts right now.
The Miners did have a little bit of shuffling of the offensive line coming into tonight. Andrew Meyer, the usual starter at center, a little bit banged up, so Robert Mervin, 67, getting the start in his place. It's his second career start. Also, Stephen Hubbard at left tackle getting his first career start in place of Zuri Henry, who was a little bit banged up and was a game-time decision coming into tonight as well. Still plenty of experience on that offensive line, but perhaps that part of the reason. Hardison on the keeper, then slings it out to Tyron Smith, and it's incomplete off of his hands. A catchless Tyron Smith so far, which has not been the case through 2 weeks. He had a career-high 8 catches for 71 yards in Norman last week. He's got 15 for 198 and a touchdown on the season. Had a big game in the opener against North Texas. But that's just his second target tonight and no completions to show for it.
Yeah, Eric, it's going to be really important for the Miners to find a receiver that can make big plays for them, and they just haven't gotten that yet consistently from anybody.
Pocket collapsing on Hardison. Goes to the safety valve. Awatt makes the first man miss. Cuts it to the outside across the 40 and surges his way across the 45. It'll be enough for a first down pickup of 16 on 2nd and 15. And a lot of that is the creativity and the elusiveness of Ronald Awatt after the catch.
Yeah, it's real nice, staying alive in the pocket by Hardison and finding his outlet in Awatt. And Awatt made a really nice move on one of the defenders and was able to get enough for the first down. Big play right there.
It's good pocket presence from Gavin Hardison, too. Maybe a year or two ago, he ends up taking a sack on that play, but he knew where Awatt was in the event of the play breaking down.
Yeah, you're seeing some really good, maturation from Gavin Hardison. He's knowing where everything is, and that's what happens when you get experience like that. Going into your third year, you know everything.
They'll go right back to Awatt, this time on the ground, and he's across midfield into Aggie territory.
Yeah, some good hard running there by Awatt. Again, he had contact right around the line of scrimmage, some arm contact, and broke through that and fell. Now we're still in favorable down and distances, and that's so important for this offense to stay in favorable down and distances.
You mentioned big plays a moment ago, Mike. I'm curious if Dana Dimmel and this UTEP offense thinks about taking a shot.
Well, again, when you're in favor down and distances, it makes it that much more attractive and a lot easier to swallow as a play caller.
Here's 2nd and 4 just inside Aggie territory. No big play here. Instead, back on the ground to Awatt, and he's snuffed out right in the backfield. Had nowhere to go. Justin Segura making the initial contact in the play on the defensive line. Defensive tackle redshirt sophomore out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and another high snap. Mike's gesturing. That kind of disrupted the play right from the beginning.
That just throws the rhythm of the play completely off, and it's been consistently. I know we have a backup center, but it's been something that happened against North Texas and against Oklahoma, and now it's still happening again tonight. And they've got to fix that because it does disrupt your play, and now you're in third in an unfavorable down and distance, and makes it a lot tougher.
Andre Selden, the transfer out of Michigan, also in the backfield to help make that play. And that's a loss of 4, 3rd and 8. Hardison with some time. Now going to tuck it and throw it on the run, and it's behind his intended receiver. He was looking once again for Tyron Smith. So Hardison and Smith not quite on the same page through the first quarter plus of this one. That'll bring up 4th down. And for the first time, we'll see the Miner punt team come out.
Well, you can see Gavin talking to Smith right now. He's trying to tell him you got to stop and settle in that window, which there was a window, and Smith kept going, but that safety was coming right up the hash. So just a little miscommunication, and that just comes from, not having as much experience with Smith just yet.
Josh Sloan, his first punt of the night, the product of Australia, bounces this one with the backspin perfectly, landed it right at the 3-yard line, and the Miner special teams unit was down there to down it right at the 5-yard line. So at the very least out of that, UTEP able to pin the Aggie offense back deep in their own territory with 12:15 to play here in the first half, and the Miners still with a 3-0 lead. Aggie offense coming back to work. Here in the second quarter at the Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas, Eric Elkin alongside Mike Perez with you, former UTEP quarterback. In this battle of I-10, 42 miles separate Aggie Memorial Stadium from the Sun Bowl here. The 99th edition, and it'll be the final one between these two teams before they become conference opponents in Conference USA. Of course, New Mexico State an independent right now, but will be joining Conference USA as part of the much bigger conference realignment and shuffling that has been going on in the college football world in recent years.
Yeah, you kind of figured that would eventually happen. I'm surprised it took this long, but it's good. It's good that now it's going to be even more important of a game, not only for bragging rights, but for conference, titles, and, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good fit.
And it was a major factor in Jerry Kill saying yes to taking the job here at New Mexico State.
You got to give kudos to Kills and the staff, because here the Miners have dominated time of possession, the field possession, and it's still 3-0. It's it could go either way, and it's New Mexico State's playing tough.
Only a gain of 1 on the first down play, and this one's going nowhere. It'll end up being a loss on the play. That defensive line all over it. You got Kelton Moss in on the action, Keenan Stewart making the initial hit there. And the offensive line was challenged by Jerry Kill coming into tonight. A missed block there on Cal Wallerstadt, the linebacker who's making his first career start. Blew up the play right from the get-go.
Yeah, that was a nice gap filled right there by Wallerstedt to come up and stuff the run. Really good kid. I had a chance to have lunch with him one time. He wants to be a dentist when he gets done playing. A really nice kid.
He's been forced into this starting role due to injury. They're without Jerome Wilson, and Gary Theard got hurt in the preseason, so he has yet to play this year. Third down, the pass incomplete. Wouldn't have been enough for a first down anyway, so a quick 3-and-out. Once again, this Miner defense is really coming on strong after that interception from Tyrese Knight in the first quarter. He comes up with the pass deflection here to set up 4th and 10, and it'll be at the 5-yard line of the Aggies, so not much room to work with here for the punt unit.
Well, you know, you bring up Tyrese Knight on that interception. That was him making up the pass break right there. Not only is he the Miners' leading tackler, Eric, but he also is very involved in dropping into pass coverage. He does everything very, very well.
He's third in the nation coming into this week in tackles with 20 through the first 2 weeks. Carlson gets this in away. Had a 53-yarder on his first punt. This one caught by Bellin at the 50-yard line. He's going backwards, but then a late flag comes in as he's taken down for a loss of about 5. And we'll see what the flag is.
Is that a possible horse collar? It sure looked like
That's
he
what I
had
was
him
wondering,
by.
the way he got.
I don't know. He threw it.
The flag
he threw it
got
a long
thrown
way.
Yeah, it was about 10 yards away from where Bellin was tackled. So this one may instead be a holder, block in the back, block in the back.
Yeah.
And it'll go against UTEP. So that's 2 penalties on 2 punt returns for the Miners.
Yeah, and you hate to have special team penalties because now we're on the plus side of the field, and we're having to go back a certain way, and that field of possession is very important. But here we've had 2 big penalties in this first half that has taken the Miners further back into their side of the field.
So the Miners will be back on offense with just over 10.5 to play in the first half. Well, when you think college football rivalries, you probably think Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, but this one dates back all the way to 1914. UTEP with the overall edge, 58-38-2. Of course, winning last year in Las Cruces to snap a 3-game losing streak, 30-3. But the Aggies, the last time they played here, won the game. It was back in 2018, and that was actually the New Mexico State's last true road win. They've lost 19 straight in true road games. Miners back on offense after the negative 5-yard punt return from Marcus Bellin and then a 10-yard penalty tacked onto it. He caught the ball at midfield. Instead, this drive starts at the 35-yard line. And, Mike, you could make the argument that UTEP should have plenty more points on the board. Settled for a field goal in that opening drive that was 17 plays. Fumbled it in the red zone. Also some costly penalties.
Eric, when you look at it, you talk about field possession, time of possession. They've really dominated. They've run a lot more plays than NMSU. But here we are at a 3-0 game, and it could go either way.
Play action. Looking over the top to James Tupou, who's cut at the legs and almost does a complete flip, but is able to hold on to the football. And he has a first down. That is the fullback, James Tupou, who had a 24-yard catch last week at Oklahoma, has a catch here. But boy, did he take a shot, and he's fortunate. It lands right on his forehead, the crown of his helmet.
Yeah, see, as a former player there, Eric, I know that this targeting and all the headshots have gotten so it's commonplace that they call penalties.
Right.
So they're having to teach these D-backs to come out and get lower. But I think it's more dangerous for some of these players coming across the middle with knee and ankle injuries.
Tupou okay on that one. Here's the first catch of the night from Tyron Smith. Hardison and Smith on the same page on that one, and that's a big play that pushes the ball inside the 30-yard line. They'll mark it at the 29.
You talk about a laser. Gavin just put that. It's fun to watch him just rip it. As a former quarterback, when somebody has a powerful arm like that and you see him just unleash it, it's a pretty thing to see. Well, here we are. They're getting close to this red zone again, which would be nice if they could convert.
But on first down, not much running room for Ronald Awad.
Yeah,
Lavea there in the mix.
Our left guard, the left guard from UTEP got beat at the point of attack, and they were in the backfield immediately on that play. And again, this puts us behind the sticks, puts UTEP behind the sticks, just makes it, harder to get that first down and keep this drive going.
Lazarus Williams making the initial contact in the tackle there. He's got the only sack of the season for the Aggie defense this year and 2 tackles for loss. He's had a good start to the year, the junior out of Olympia, Washington, who also played at New Mexico Military Institute, where Gavin Hardison played before transferring here to UTEP. A little more running room here on second down for Awatt. Able to get up across the 25-yard line, and it'll bring up a much better third down situation.
Yeah, it's as we talk about, just put yourself in favorable position. Third down. 3rd and 5, 42% that the offense converts. So it's still, the defense has a much higher percentage of getting off the field, but it's a much favorable position to be, than 3rd and 5 or more.
Hardison with time on 3rd and 5. Looking in the corner for Flores, and it's batted down. Was in quite a battle there.
There's a flag.
And there is a flag that comes in late.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be against New Mexico State. No, what's he calling? Yeah, it's against New Mexico State.
Linwood Crump was in there on the coverage.
Yep,
they said Bryce Jackson actually in the 32, who was called for it. He's the grad transfer out of UNLV. Let's take another look. Well, I think I got the wrong number. That definitely wasn't
number 9. Yeah,
that definitely wasn't Bryce Jackson. That was Linwood Crump.
And God, I don't know about that. That was just kind of a bang play.
They're both going after it.
Yeah, that's tough. A tough call, but I'm sure UTEP will take it.
They absolutely will, and they'll take the 1st and goal. Heavy package in once again. Play action. Tyron Smith over the middle. It's a touchdown for UTEP.
That's a nice play right there to get the 7 points or the 6 points right before the half. That's a really good drive. Nice play, and it obviously the penalty helped a lot, but it's good to convert in the red zone.
Second touchdown pass of the season for Gavin Hardison. Both of them have gone to Tyron Smith this season, the junior out of Cibolo, Texas. He had been held catchless before this drive, but a big play earlier in this drive for Tyron Smith, and then the touchdown from 9 yards out. Gavin Beckley on to tack on the extra point, and with 7:07 left to play in the first half, we have our first touchdown of the game, and it's for the Miners, who now lead 10-0. Take another look. Quick slant pass over the middle, and it was right on the money to Tyron Smith.
Yeah, again, Eric, when you run the ball, these linebackers start coming up, and you can get stuff right in behind them. That's exactly what happened on the touchdown pass there.
10-0 UTEP, 7:07 left to play in the first half. Aggie offense coming back after this. Welcome back to the Sun Bowl. Eric Elkin alongside Mike Perez. Gavin Beckley's kick goes through the back of the end zone after the Miner touchdown. First touchdown of the evening for either side. So now UTEP with a 10-0 lead with just over 7 minutes left to play. And the New Mexico State offense back on the field. It's still Gavin Frakes. The Yankees have been playing 2 quarterbacks through the first 2 weeks. And it was Diego Pavia getting the start in both of those games. But the true freshman out of Norman, Oklahoma, getting the start and still has yet to be given up any playing time to Pavia on this one. And he loses the football, and he's fortunate that one of his teammates was there to take it. Otherwise, that could have been a potential scoop and score. Terrell Warner in the right place at the right time. Saw the fumble, was able to pick it up. Let's take another look to see who was able to jar that loose.
Looks like the safety, Kobe Hout. Is it Kobe Houghton that comes in? And no, it's a 32.
It actually ends up being Elijah Johnson, the corner.
Yeah.
But Kobe Hilton was there. Preza Mehule was chasing him down as well. So it was a forced fumble for Elijah Johnson, I should say, who's making his first career start. He's been switching playing time with Josiah Allen at that cornerback position. And almost a huge turnover. Ends up being a loss of 1. This one hits the deck.
It's a fumble.
That one should be an incomplete pass, I think. We'll see what the officials rule it. Oh, they're saying backwards pass, and it is a fumble recovered by UTEP. They didn't call it initially, and the official just made the call.
I saw the linesman down on the UTEP side with his hand back, so that means that's a lateral. And the other guy on the New Mexico State side didn't make a signal, but he signaled it all the way from the get-go.
Well, yeah.
And that definitely is a lateral. Nice job of the defense being aware to get on it. And
Frakes was looking for Star Thomas there. The pass was a little bit low. Be curious to see if they review this one, but it looks like right now the UTEP offense is coming out and the officials are ready to start this drive.
Well, let's get it snapped because it was close. I think the Miners would still get it, but you just never know. So
yeah, that's right down the line. It
yeah,
was like just a shade, maybe a half a yard backwards. So second turnover for this Aggie offense, and it sets up the Miners 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line. They go to the ground. Huge hole for Awat. Bounces it to the outside. Breaks the tackle inside the 10. Dives to the pylon, and he's in for the touchdown.
Boy, what a powerful run by Awat. He's stiff-armed, dodged, shedded some tackles. That's a big run right there by Mr. Awat.
22-yard touchdown run for Ronald Awat, breaking tackles left and right. That's been a problem so far for this Aggie defense. There's one. There's two. And there's 6.
That's just desire. That's just desire and want by Awat. What a powerful run, and that's a great thing to do for your team. This is an important touchdown because now it opens up that lead, and it kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room here right as you go into the half. That's a powerful run right there. Very impressive.
Gavin Beckley's extra point is through. And that all of a sudden gives UTEP a 17-0 lead after it was 3-0 for what felt like forever. And it's because of turnovers.
Yeah, that's the first time Frake has looked like a freshman on that pass. He fumbled the previous play, and then he just you can't make that pass. It's a short pass. You got to give it to your receiver with a chance to advance, and you can't throw it around their knees, and that's what happened.
Frakes has thrown an interception.
It's 2.
And this one ends up being...
Well, it's a fumble, I guess.
A fumble, yeah. But it also gave UTEP such a short field, and they didn't waste any time. 22-yard run on that first down.
And that's just a backbreaker for the Aggies. I mean, you turn it over on your side of the field, and then on one big run, they run it right down your throat.
Awat had a touchdown at Oklahoma last week. This one is second of the season. The redshirt senior out of Lubbock, Texas, really came on last year, leading the Miners with 843 yards rushing, averaging over 5 yards per carry. And 6 touchdowns. He also had 11 catches for 159 yards. And now he's starting to come into form a little bit here at that nice touchdown run. Let's take another look at the turnover. They didn't even review it. Called that a backwards lateral. And then Kelton Moss delivers a blow to free the ball up for James Neal, the linebacker, who was able to recover it.
Yeah, that was, heads up by Moss coming in there and, keeping the receiver from getting on the ball. Nice recovery, nice alertness by the defense to keep playing till the whistle blew. And you see the run here by Awat. I mean, this is just a powerful run. He was not going to be denied, and you got a stiff arm here. He's just churning, dives for the pylon, comes across it. Nice run. Big-time run right there.
Mike, and you made the comment during one of our commercial breaks earlier when it was still 3-0, and UTEP was making some of those mistakes, whether it be the fumble in the red zone or some of the penalties they've committed that have killed some of their drives. You're letting a team hang around that doesn't have a lot of confidence right now at 0-2 and are in a rebuild with a lot of new players and a new coaching staff, 45 new players, all new coaches but one, trying to find their identity and figure themselves out. And in a rivalry game, you let a team like that hang around, it can get a little scary, but all of a sudden, just like that, 3-0 turns into 17-0.
Yeah, I mean, big plays by the Miners, but again, the Aggies have helped with penalties and now the turnovers, and now you have it where it's a 17-point lead, at least 3 possessions. You average about 5 or 6 possessions a half, so now that really puts the Aggies in a bind. They've got to come out and score, and they haven't been able to do that just yet. So the Miners are in a good position right now. They got to make sure they stop them and keep them off the board heading into the half and really just finish delivering a really nice half of football. Even though the
be
Miners
surprised either if we see Diego Pavia come out for this offensive series for New Mexico State. He got the start in the first 2 games, has yet to play in this one. And he finally decided to give the true freshman Gavin Frakes a chance to start, but it's gone pretty horribly for him.
Yeah, it's a big game for a freshman to come in and play. And up until that point, he'd played fairly solidly, and now you see him where he's made a few freshman mistakes and looks like they're going to go.
Yeah, they haven't quite broken the huddle on the sideline there, but it looks like Diego Pavia is going to be the quarterback to come out this time.
Sometimes that may be good for a freshman to sit down and watch and kind of take a look, as to what's going on.
It is Pavia, a very different build than Gavin Frakes, who's 6'4", 220. Pavia's listed at 6 feet, 200, but you see him standing there next to his running back, who's 6'2". He may be just a shade under 6 feet. You know how they sometimes will be a little generous on these measurables on the roster. But Pavia also brings what you just saw there to the offense. He's got the ability to tuck it and run. Yeah, he's actually the team's leading rusher through the first 2 games with 46 yards on the ground.
Yeah, it's just a nice option read off the end on that pistol formation. He kept it around the corner. He's got some speed on him now. He got around the corner and made a really nice positive gain for the Aggies there on that first down.
Pavia out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, was only 2 of 5 for 10 yards a week ago, 11 of 25 for 85 yards. He had 3 interceptions in the opener loss against Nevada, although some of those weren't his fault. They were balls that were thrown well to his receivers and tipped up into the air. So a little bit of friendly fire doesn't tell you the whole story on the stat sheet. This pass to the outside, right on cue, is dropped. His intended receiver there, Cordell David, it looked like it was put in a good spot, and he just couldn't corral it.
I tell you what, Elijah Johnson has played some pretty good ball this half. He came up and was all over that quick hitch route and made a nice play on the ball.
And that was just a straight drop there from Cordell David. So now instead of third and short, it's 3rd and 6, more 3rd and medium here.
Huge third down right here. If you could stop and get the ball back and score again before half, that might do it.
And the crowd getting into it here at the Sun Bowl. Pavia in his first series. On the run, and the pass is knocked down. And once again, who's there? It's Elijah Johnson with that pass breakup. You were just talking about him on the last play, Mike. And Johnson comes up with back-to-back big plays.
He's had a really nice half. I've been watching him on the sideline where he's been in coverage, and he's done really well. I mean, you can't get any better than that. He's just all over it. Didn't put his hand on the back, avoided the pass interference call. And, yeah, pound your chest a little bit, my man. You deserve that. That was a really good series for him and for this defense to get the ball back.
Justice Powers, the intended receiver, put his arms up hoping to get the laundry on the field, but that looked like a good, clean play from Elijah Johnson, who timed it out perfectly, making his first career start here, the redshirt freshman out of Maricopa, Arizona. Carlson just barely gets that punt away. Here's Bellin, who's had some difficulties and takes a shot at the end right on the sideline. And that's getting a little bit of chirping on both sides after the big hit. No flag on that play. It looked like Bellin was still just barely in bounds, but he was going the wrong way.
Yeah, he got hit by 2 Aggies, and anytime you get stood up like that, man, you better get your head back down quick because they're coming.
Javion Gibson delivering the finishing lick there.
That's what you call a nasal clearing hit right there. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't have much room on that punt, but he still, fielded it and thought he could return it. But boy, he paid a nice price for probably about a half-yard gain on that.
Well, there's a reason why Bellin thinks he can field it. He had 6 return touchdowns a year ago at Santa Barbara Community College, 4 punt return touchdowns and 2 kick return touchdowns. So he can be dangerous. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, anytime you can do that, you're special. So I'd like to see him, get some more chances and break one.
Miners go play action. Hardison with all sorts of time, taking a deep shot for Tyron Smith. A little bit underthrown, and it's dropped. Smith had to come back for it. If he hits him in stride, he might be celebrating in the end zone right now.
So Gavin had Ray Flores on the right side of the field wide open as well, and I don't think anybody had seen him. Underthrown there by Gavin Hardison. That's a really good call right there. Anytime you have momentum change, field of possession, and you take a shot like that, your quarterback's got to lay it out there because he had a home run right there, and that would have put the,
And it looked like when Smith came back to try and make that play, his right arm got caught a little bit on Dillon early, so he couldn't get both hands free to make the catch.
Yeah, correct.
But again, if that ball's thrown on the money in stride, it's probably a touchdown. Hardison doesn't see the pressure. He loses the football, and it looks like the Miners are able to get on top of it. It was Jeremiah Byers there to save the day, but Hardison, who usually is pretty good about feeling that pressure, did not see that hit coming.
Yeah, that's the one thing that if I had anything negative to say about Gavin is sometimes that pocket clock does not get to him, or he doesn't, anticipate it as well as he needs to. You got to know that you got only so many seconds back there before you got to start looking around. And
it was Lazarus Williams again. I mentioned him a few moments ago. He's had a terrific start to this season. The only sack for the Aggies this year so far defensively. Has another one there and a forced fumble.
And again, knowing the situation, you can't have a turnover back here going into the half. You got to know the situation.
Ends up being a loss of 13. Here's 3rd and 23, and the pass is overthrown. Hardison was looking over the middle for one of his biggest targets, Jeremiah Ballard. Stands at 6'3", so when you overthrow Ballard, you really threw it high.
Yeah, not a good series there by the Miners, and in particular Gavin. He underthrew that first pass, took a sack on that last one, and just overthrew Ballard, who was fairly open on that play.
A little bit behind him, too.
Yeah, a little bit behind him. Sometimes as a quarterback, when you try to throw that ball with a little extra zip, you take a really long stride and the ball kind of sails on you, and that's what happened to him on this point right now.
So now Josh Sloan will have to punt it from his own end zone. Lands just inside the 45, and with a minor bounce will go out of bounds. They'll mark this probably about the 45-yard line. So pretty good field position here for the Aggie offense with still plenty of time. 3:38 left in the first half. Aggies have all 3 timeouts, so the clock really not an issue here. And again, we talk about momentum swings. Looked like UTEP was really getting ready to potentially blow this one open, jumping out to that 17-0 lead. But all of a sudden, as poorly as things have gone for you, if you're an Aggie fan, if you can get some points out of this one, especially a touchdown, get this thing back to a 10-point game, you'd probably feel pretty good about that given the way things have gone.
Yeah, I didn't mind the first shot on first down, but on second down, we probably should have ran the ball to do the clock. And as well as we're running the ball, it could have been a lot better.
Speaking of shots, Aggies taking one here, but Pavia well overthrows his receiver, and there is a flag in the backfield. Pavia was looking for Jonathan Brady, who had a couple of big plays.
Yeah, somebody locked up Keldon Moss pretty good. Looked like they put him in some wrestling move there.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered. Jonathan Brady had a couple of big plays on the ground on a reverse and an end around in that first half. They were trying to take a deep shot to him this time, but now a holding penalty. So just when you start talking about the what-ifs of this drive coming into it and a chance for the Aggies to do something on first down, there's the hold.
Yeah,
that's pretty obvious.
I mean, that's obvious. That referee had no choice but to throw that flag.
Isaiah Mercelot, the right guard, is called for the hold. So now 1st and 20, and that pass is deflected dropped. It went right off the shoulder or the arm. It looked like of Jordan Parker. I think that'll probably go in the stat sheet as another drop pass.
Yeah, and Jordan Parker's usually pretty sure-handed. He's made some, he's had a lot of receptions for the Aggie in the early season. But, again, we talked about in the pregame that Coach Kill had talked about how his offensive line had not played very well. And, again, they're struggling with some holding calls and letting people run free on run plays.
Yeah, Kill wasn't shy in calling out his offensive line this unit, saying they need to play better, and even saying so far as he can't even really grade and judge the quarterbacks, the running backs, anybody at this point because the line wasn't playing well enough to give a true grade on film and really get a sense of what they have. He thought coming into this one, this would be the game that would really let them know where they are. But Jerry Kill's keys coming into tonight were to tackle better, assignment football, and he said he wants their O-line to, quote, play their butt off.
And every coach will tell you, Eric, that the last group to gel on any football team is the offensive line. I don't know why it takes that long, but there's 5 different parts, and they're all moving and getting used to each other. So it does take a while, and I know they returned maybe I think a couple players that played a little bit last year, but for the most part they're all new, and when the head coach gets on you like that, there's two things you can do is step up and play better, or put your head down. You won't be playing very long.
And he did take some responsibility too. He said it's also my job to make sure that they're better. So it wasn't just completely throwing the O-line under the bus, but he was really challenging them more than anything. As Kelton Moss there is able to make the tackle for UTEP. Couple of yards gained on the run by Jimani Jones, but it'll still set up 3rd and forever. And now there's
Somebody's hurt.
Minor down. Just over 3 minutes left, so 3:10 left. This will stop the clock. Because now all of a sudden it shifts back to UTEP's offense getting another crack at trying to extend this lead. If they're able to make a stop here on 3rd and 17.
Is that Kelton Moss?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, it was Kelton Moss. He was the one who made the tackle.
Mm-hmm. He got probably his leg rolled up on. He's limping a little bit. So, yeah, that usually happens. You're in the trenches like that. There's a lot of bodies, and sometimes you get an ankle caught up under you. And anytime 300-pound people fall on anything, it doesn't feel too good.
Well, and based on the way he was walking off the field, he might have just taken a shot that didn't feel very good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. That'll make you walk funny as well. So.
And it'll make you stay on the ground for a little bit longer.
Yes. We'll just keep it at that.
Yes, we will. 3rd and 17. This home crowd here at the Sun Bowl rising to its feet once again, trying to urge on this Minor defense, trying to get the ball back in the hands of the offense before the half. Pavia steps up into the pocket. Throws it deep down the sideline. Good coverage on the play. No real chance there. Once again, Justice Powers was asking for a flag, but there was really no separation there.
Yeah, it looked like they had forced a receiver, outside of the boundary. He was out of bounds, and that's what the referee was telling him. He was already out of bounds, by the time any contact had happened. So really, really good no call right there.
Coverage on the play was by Tyreek James.
Now here's a great opportunity for the UTEP offense, no matter where we get the ball, to come in your 2-minute offense, not only practice it, but go down and score and put an exclamation point on this half of football that they've played.
This one not as good of a punt from Carlson. Miners will stay away from it, and it'll roll out of bounds just inside the 30-yard line. So 2:33 left to play in the first half, and still 2 timeouts for UTEP. They had to take a timeout 3 seconds into the game, but haven't had to use one since then. So once again, this is plenty of time to try and get points on the board. Clock really not a factor just yet.
Well, remember now, so the clock stops in college on first down, so
sure.
you can still run the ball. You can still throw some screens. You don't have to go, 3 passes down the field and try to get big chunks right now. You got time to sustain a drive and go get some points before that.
That's what they tried to do on that last drive, three straight passes.
Exactly.
And it was the play before that. That was a 1-play drive of 22 yards on a run by Ronald Awatt, who had just all sorts of room to run. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it on the ground here. And in fact, it is. But not a lot of room that time for Ronald Awatt. Picks up about 1.5 yards, 2 yards.
Yeah, that was Trevor Brohard on that stop, one of the good linebackers that New Mexico State has. He's a heck of a player. He's all over the place.
A redshirt senior out of Los Lunas, New Mexico.
Yeah, you watch him on film. He's all over the place. He's a good player.
He's really the leader of this defense. Jerry Kill saying everything he does, I trust. He's the guy I go through. Keep it on the ground once again with Awatt to bring up a 3rd and short. Miners elected not to take a timeout on that last play. Looks like they're still not using it here. We want to see what happens here on 3rd and 3.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, if you get this first down, then you go into your hurry up, and you still got your 2 timeouts and everything else in your kitty.
They do get back quickly to the line of scrimmage, although now checking out of it. And that's something also that Gavin Hardison now has in his tool belt as well. He's allowed to change the play at the line of scrimmage if he sees something.
Well, he's got a blitz coming from the end, it looks like, so he's...
Awatt trying to be patient, waiting for a hole, but nothing there. And that drive was basically the polar opposite of the previous one. It was three shots taken through the air on the last drive, and then this one Miners go 3 straight runs with not really a whole lot of urgency, and now they're going to have to punt it away, it looks like.
Yeah. And New Mexico State, I think, called the timeout.
Although, did they? Yeah, that's what.
New Mexico State called the timeout.
Oh, man. Oh, no, they hadn't changed the down marker from 3 to 4. So at first there, it looked like were they not counting that last play. But it did count it. It's no gain on the play, so it'll be 4th and 3. And you could understand why New Mexico State would take a timeout here. 1:17 to stop the clock at 1:17. Still will have 1 remaining.
You know, I would have liked to seen the Miners get a little more aggressive on that series. But, you know, I know what Coach Dimmel's thinking, 17 points, don't want to take any chances.
Sure. Well, of course, remember on that last drive, Gavin Hardison also took that shot.
Took a sack, yep. Could have been disastrous.
Almost fumbled it away, yeah. Did fumble it, but Miners were able to recover it. Josh Sloan gets the punt away.
Well, they came after the block there. Oh, hit it, get it.
Did an Aggie touch that ball?
Yes, that ball's live.
The ball is live in the end zone still.
Touchdown.
It's still loose. Who's got it?
New Mexico State got it back.
No official signal.
It looks like the Aggies
have to sort it out in
back.
that pile. Boy, this would be an absolute disaster.
No, New Mexico State got it back, but boy, it was live. It hit one of the it hit one of the.
Well, it's Tulalulu who's got the football in his hand.
One of the guys that was blocking for the Aggies got hit right in the back of the heel. And 2 Miners had chances to fall and it just couldn't. So it's going to be I think it should be a touchback.
Yeah, that's what the officials were indicating there. We'll get the official call here.
Touchback, yeah.
So it ends up being a touchback.
Mm-hmm.
You had a couple Miners there putting their hands up saying safety, but
no, but there's a couple
not the way they rule it.
Hits him right on the heel here. You can see it as it's coming in right here. Yep.
Right on foot.
Yep.
I mean, what are the odds of that?
And that's a 13U it immediately, or 83. I can't tell his number there, but we had 1 chance.
Yeah, well, there's 1,
2 chances. As the last one,
and
that
it's
comes
just sitting there in the end zone. Boy. Disaster averted for New Mexico State with 59 seconds left. Still come out with a 4 wide receiver set, but they'll keep it on the ground. And now I wouldn't be surprised, even with the 1 timeout remaining, if Jerry Kill elects to try and get out of this half deep in his own territory, although they do rush back to the line of scrimmage. So perhaps giving it 1 more play to see if they can get something going. Pavia will keep. No, he did hand it off.
Timeout, UTEP. Timeout.
UTEP does have 2 timeouts left.
Take a timeout.
Star Thomas didn't have much room there.
I don't know why you wouldn't take a timeout here. I mean, you could get a.
So now it's 3rd and 6.
Now you've let too much time run off the clock, so the Miners are just going to be happy to get out of here this half with a 17-0 lead. I think both teams have had enough for the half.
Both teams have had a few of those moments over the last couple of minutes where you hold your breath.
Could have been disastrous for both.
Could have been disaster. Instead, it ends up being a 17-0 lead at halftime for the Miners in this 99th Battle of I-10, the last one between these two before they become Conference USA foes. And then Diego Pavia came in place of him, and he did not complete a pass in that first half.
Yeah, actually, I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Pavia come back out. I think you saw the freshman get a little rough introduction into this rivalry and didn't perform as well in the second half of the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Pavia came out here and took over for the second half.
Frakes was 1 for 5 in that first half, and now Pavia was 0 for 4, although he had a couple of drops as well. So he should have had a couple of completions, and it will be Pavia, the junior transfer out of New Mexico Military Institute, where Gavin Hardison played. He led NIMI to a JUCO state national championship over Iowa Western last year. Keep it on the ground here on first down.
Fumble.
And did that ball come loose?
Sure looked like it did, but they.
It looks like it stays with New Mexico State, though. Jamani Jones on the carry. All of a sudden, the UTEP defense perked up a little bit there, but it stays with New Mexico State.
Yeah, it was good to see that defensive front really take charge in the late in the first quarter and into the second quarter, and they got to do that continue in the second half to stymie any kind of comeback effort by the Aggies.
Yeah, it did come loose right at the end. It's Tyrese Knight, who's been big tonight, has an interception, also a pass breakup.
That
Miners'
kid's
leading tackler. He's been all over the place.
He's always all over the place. It's so fun to watch him on tape.
Kobe Hilton, the strong safety, showing a blitz there, although backs off now. Pavia keeps it himself up the middle. It takes a big shot at the 30-yard line. But after a pickup of about 3 on the play, it'll bring up 3rd and medium.
Looked like Blake Thompson on the carry or on the hit there. Nice wrap-up tackle. That was a beautiful tackle.
Their 2 biggest plays, New Mexico State, in that first half was on the end around, and it was to Jonathan Brady, who they faked that to. So there was plenty of pursuit there on Brady. The Miners, that was one of the things that clearly were correcting at halftime, making sure they don't let Brady get loose in the open field again. But they complemented it well with the D-line there. Blake Thompson making the big hit on Pavia. Now it's 3rd and 4. Miners bringing pressure. Pavia under duress, trying to buy some time, and he's just going to have to throw it away. And then a late flag comes in. Boy, the official almost kind of looked like he was thinking about it for a few seconds before he finally pulled it out. I was wondering if he would. As Pavia went down late there. Looked like he took a little extra shot there from, I believe it was Tyreek James. And that's an absolute gift from the UTEP defense given to the Aggie offense.
Eric, I'm all about protecting quarterbacks, but once he turns into a runner and he's outside the pocket, I mean, you've got to make sure that he can hit him. I mean, I don't think that's late. I really don't. That's within a 1.5 step.
And you see how long it took the official there to
if you've got to think about it
flag.
that long, then it wasn't that obvious, in my opinion. I know they're protecting the players, but this is still football, and it's a contact sport. I don't agree with that call.
It didn't look like Pavia even took much exception to it at first, but he'll certainly take the 15 free yards and a fresh set of downs. He's trying to find the edge here. Takes a big shot. Kobe Hilton coming in, delivering the blow. Dana Dimmel's really loved what he's gotten out of Kobe Hilton. Pavia is a transfer out of Louisiana.
Oh, he can bring the hat, but Pavia's getting up, talking about targeting. I mean, he's trying to go down, and I don't know. I mean, that's a bang-bang play. They're both trying to make a play, and when he's going down and somebody's trying to lower the helmet, sometimes it's going to collide like that. I don't like quarterbacks getting up or any offensive player, with regards to targeting.
Ends up being a gain of 1 here, 2nd and 9. Pavia will keep it, facing pressure. Tripped up and taken down finally in the backfield. A slew of defenders getting in there. Tongahua will get credit for the sack.
Like Delon Williams is in the backfield as well. Nice play by the UTEP defense, had him wrapped up.
Delon Williams providing the initial pressure. Dana Dimmel wanted to challenge his defensive line. Talked about it a little earlier. It was expected to be the strength of this unit coming into this season, and through the first 2 games haven't quite lived up to what they expect of themselves, but making their presence felt here. Only 3 down linemen on this 3rd and long. Westmoreland coming from the backside. Pavia doesn't see it, and he's taken down. And it is Maurice Westmoreland coming in, making a play.
Yeah, Westmoreland is a kid that a lot of the staff is excited about, and the kids talk about how disruptive he is, and he's a real talent. He got some good speed for somebody that big and can really close the distance in a hurry.
JUCO transfer out of Kilgore College. He backs up Jadrian Taylor, the senior, who is also a transfer product of Kilgore College, as well as Kelton Moss. I mean, they've really created a good pipeline at UTEP here with Kilgore College, among many other JUCOs. But especially Kilgore, they've gotten some real gifts.
Some good players, yep.
That punt is botched, and it looks like it's recovered by the Aggies. It is. Boy, it's been a disaster back there for Marcus Bellin. He called for the fair catch, and he muffed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what he was brought in. He was a specialist for punt return, and it looked like he just kind of lost it. He had one of his teammates go right by him at the end of there, and he just took his eye off it, put it on the ground. That just can't happen. When you're the specialist that you're supposed to be, a punt return specialist, you got to do your job. Unfortunately for the young guy, that's a costly mistake.
And it's recovered by J.J. Derville. And look at that. I mean, that tells the story right there. All of a sudden, there's some momentum, some excitement on a sideline that has not had much to celebrate. Dressed up as Pistol Pete after that turnover.
Yeah, that's like we spoke about right at halftime. This is still not over. And they score here, that becomes a ball game again.
They'll start this drive at the 14-yard line. Pavia with some room this time, makes the first man miss, cuts it inside the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. One play after the muff punt, Diego Pavia gets his first rushing touchdown of the season, and just like that, the Aggies have life.
Yeah, but it's just that quick, Eric. It can happen. You get a big play, a turnover. Now you're in a dogfight again, and here we go. Buckle up. It's going to be a good one.
And it's that missed tackle there.
Yeah, nice run
and
by
Knight
Pavia.
gave him a shot, but ultimately helped him go into the end zone. And now Ethan Albertson on to tack on the extra point, bring this back to a 10-point game. And that kick is blocked. And it looked like potentially it was going to be a return there for UTEP. But Knight ended up running into his own man and falls down. So that was almost a chance for the Miners to add on some points. But, boy, even when things start to look like they're going right for New Mexico State, they then give up a PAT block. So the lead stays at 11 for UTEP, but the Aggies finally on the board for the first time since week 0 after the turnover and the muff punt. Back after this. Back inside the Sun Bowl, Miners with a 17-6 lead now. They led it 17-0 at the half. Defense was playing well, and then Marcus Bellin muffed a punt on a fair catch, giving great field position for the Aggies, and they take it on the very first play in for a touchdown. Diego Pavia with a 14-yard quarterback keeper. However, the extra point was blocked, so it's now 17-6, an 11-point lead, and we'll see the Miner offense get back at work.
You go back to that penalty on that roughing the passer. Would have been 3 and out. New Mexico State got a first down, and they were back at it, turned the field possession around. Then we fumbled that punt, and now we're in a dogfight again.
Keenan Stewart getting the block. He came through. It almost looked like untouched right up the middle. There's nothing wrong with the kick from Albertson there. It was just poor kick blocking. But that's a good point that you bring up, because they forced the punt, but the punt would have been way back in Aggie territory. So even if he muffs it, that would have been more around midfield as opposed to inside his own 20-yard line.
Right, you go from very good field possession on one penalty that it was kind of iffy, but they still called it and put yourself in a bad spot. You fumble it, now you find yourself in a game.
Play action looking for Ray Flores over the middle, but he can't corral it. Eric Elkin alongside Mike Perez, the former UTEP quarterback from the early 90s, here with you in the Sun Bowl on this 99th Battle of I-10.
Yeah, early 90s, it seems so long ago, Eric, but God, this place is still as beautiful as ever. I fell in love with it when I used to play here. Now it's gotten just even better with the renovations they've made. Beautiful, clear El Paso night. Nice place to watch a game.
Had their first sellout here since 2008, back in week 0 against North Texas. Of course, they wanted the game to go a little bit differently, but it was a great environment. And that was even with a lightning delay to start things off and push the kick time back about an hour to like 8 o'clock. It's pretty late for the kids, but
this is where your big players have to step up here, because you can feel the momentum shifting big time, and you need one of your big players to step up and make a big play for your offense. Let's hope one of the Miners can step up and find a way to convert this first down.
Just a 1-yard rush for Ronald Awad on second down, so now it's 3rd and long, 3rd and 9. Aggies look like they're going to bring some pressure from the right side.
Another low snap.
Hardison now facing the pressure, and he's going to go down for the sack. taken down in the backfield by Marcus Buckley. That's just the 3rd sack of the season for the Aggie defense. Lazarus Williams had one earlier in this game that forced a fumble. But you're right, Mike, good astute observation, a low snap, and Hardison never really had a chance.
Yeah, it's very disruptive when you got to take your eyes down off the defense for even a split second, because people move so fast. The game is so fast that one split second could throw everything off. And, unfortunately for the Miner offense, that's not a very good series.
Now Josh Sloan will stand at his own 1-yard line, set to kick this one away, 3 and out. This one end over end, a little bit lower. And it'll land just around the 30-yard line before it goes out of bounds. And some chippiness behind the play. Players having to be separated. No flags at this moment. But back around midfield, there on the right side of your screen, they're now separated. You can feel the intensity of the rivalry picking up as these two teams are tangling now at 17-6. And the Aggies with a chance here now, coming back after this, to get it back to a 1-score game. 9:12 left to play in the 3rd quarter. Aggie offense getting ready to get back out on the field, trailing 17-6. But the momentum certainly has shifted in the favor of NM State. I think that secret being told to Pater Pete that UTEP has lost the momentum, and he doesn't seem thrilled about it.
I think Pater is usually off in his own little world most of the time anyway, Eric. So.
We are not, though, here. Eric Elkin alongside Mike Perez joining you with just over 9 minutes left to play in the 3rd quarter here at the Sun Bowl. 99th Battle of I-10. And things could get interesting, even more interesting here now, depending on what the Aggie offense can do. They go on the ground to Star Thomas on 1st down, and it's a good gain of about 8 for Star Thomas. Best run of the night for him. We were looking over some of the stats during the break, and it's pretty remarkable. The Miners are statistically have the edge significantly in just about every category, and New Mexico State as a team has only completed 1 pass the entire night for 11 yards. Outside of that, it's come on the ground.
And here they are. I mean, now you can see the momentum shifting. This is a huge possession in the game. There comes a point in the game when a possession gets really huge. This is one right now, right here. Miner defense really needs to buckle up and stop them.
And the Miner defense has been playing very well throughout the night, but they didn't have much time off the field, and right back on it here. Here's Praise Mehule coming around the edge to clean up the tackle. It'll be a tackle for loss.
Yeah, that was all Keenan Stewart on that play. He dominated his guy and got across the line of scrimmage and forced everything back towards his buddies, and Praise was there to clean it up.
That ends up being a loss of 2, and now 3rd and 4. A bunch formation on the bottom of your screen. Pavia with time, and it's incomplete. Boy, he was about 4 yards short of his intended receiver. It looked like he was open. It was Star Thomas. Looked like he had a little bit of room, but Pavia just threw it nowhere near him.
Yeah, that's one you got to complete. As a quarterback playing at this level, that's an easy pitch and catch, and he's got to make that. He's got to make that throw.
Yeah, it's just not even close.
Yep.
I mean, Thomas was calling for it. He was ready. He was open, and
yeah, he's gonna hate to watch this on film tomorrow because you're gonna be all over him during film session on Sunday. That's a good job by the defense to 3 and out and to get the ball back to this offense. Hopefully, they can get something going offensively.
A change in punt returner after Bellin muffed the punt. Marcus Bellin muffed the last one. It's Ray Flores now back deep to receive. He signals for a fair catch but can't get underneath it, and it goes out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. And that is where the Miners will take over. So the Miner defense answers the call, forces a 3 and out, and the Miner offense try and get something going.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him get into some type of, rhythm, and there's a nice play-action pass.
Play action looking over the top to the tight end, Zach Fryer, but a little bit overthrown. And Fryer, the 6'1", 240-pound redshirt junior out of Venice, Florida, unable to come down with that. He was a teammate of Hardison's at New Mexico Military Institute. Blanket coverage on the play by B.J. Skulark.
Yeah,
a little bit of contact.
Sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you. They gave him the fullback in the flat on that bootleg, and he had Tua wide open. Sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you, not always try to take the home run shot. We got to find somebody to settle this offense down and make a play here.
Play clock's down to 2. They just get the snap off. Hardison with time. Trying to find a soft spot over the middle. Was looking for Tyron Smith, and it's incomplete. Overthrown. Smith took a bit of a shot at the end of that. That's back-to-back incompletions, and quickly 3rd and 10.
Yeah, I mean, you put yourselves in 3rd and 10. Eric, do you know the conversion rate percentage, successful rate for an offense to complete a 3rd and 10?
I'm guessing it's not very good.
It's 31%.
31%.
Yeah, so you're really against the numbers when you get into these spots, and makes it really difficult.
Miners were 2 for 2 on the first drive on 3rd down conversions. Now 3 of 9 for the game, though. And that one is off the hands of Smith and incomplete. You'd make the argument that Smith probably could have come down with that one a little bit high, but that's a ball that Smith will probably tell you he should have caught. And now it's 3 and out again. 3 straight throws.
Yeah, you'd like to see some running game there. 1, to get the clock going, and 2, to establish a little more momentum. Anytime you run the ball, it opens up everything else. And I think we've been pass happy the last couple of series there for the Miners. And you'd like to see somebody say, hey, let's start running that ball again.
So that brings Josh Sloan back out there. Last time he was punting it standing from his own 1-yard line. This time not much better at his own 9. And he's just able to get that one away. Aggies brought a lot of pressure there.
That could be roughing.
And there are 2 flags down on the field around the 12-yard line. And
ran into him pretty good. I don't know if it's running into, but it sure looked like they hit his leg. Wasn't the plant leg, though.
Yeah, the big difference being 5 or 15. 15 would be the automatic first down. 5 I would venture to guess that they'll still.
I think it's 5 because they're asking Dana if he wants to decline
punt,
it or re-kick it or take the penalty at the end over there. So I don't think they're going to get the personal foul type.
Well, and the fair catch was made at the 34-yard line, so you could back this up inside the 30 or see if you can pin him back deep with a big booming punt from Sloan if you elect to go after it again.
They got him pretty good. I thought that was going to be a roughing the punter, but yeah, I mean that's a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
That's not running into the kicker. That's roughing the punter.
Well, and they elect to decline it, so it'll be at the 34-yard line instead. They've been getting a little bit closer on the pressure, so I'm wondering if Dana Dimmel may be thinking there. 34 is not the worst case scenario, and if you punt it again, you run the risk of potentially having them come through and getting a block.
If anybody should be protected, I've always felt this as a punter. You're up on one leg,
yep.
And a lot of things can go wrong when you get hit like that.
So that's where the Aggie offense will take over after going 3 and out the last series. And this one starts with flags. Question is, who flinched first? And that's the discussion right now. I believe it'll be against the Aggies. It is false start. They didn't even reference a number because there were a couple of guys that moved at the same time. There's a look at Dana Dimmel on the sideline.
Yeah, that first half of football was really enjoyable, good. We had some back and forth, some mistakes, but this one is kind of, both teams seem like they're in a rut offensively and nothing's really happening.
And you can feel that in the crowd a little bit, too. There's kind of this lull right now.
Yep, exactly right. Need a turnover or some big play to happen. There's a
flag
right
in the
there.
backfield as that pass falls incomplete.
Yeah,
this one's likely going to go against the NMSU as well, so you accept this penalty. You could accept this and make it 1st and 25 or decline it and make it 2nd and 15.
Yeah, they tackled Dennis Barnes as he was coming in off on a blitz, and I think it was their left tackle that got him. That's 78. Yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's Gabe Preciado, the left tackle. Of course, Sage Dockstader was the anchor at that spot for the last several years for NMSU. Just a towering left tackle out of Canada.
I always feel bad for offensive linemen because the only time they get any recognition of any kind is when they're called for holding or something not so good, a false start.
Generally speaking, that is the way it goes.
But they're the lifeblood of any offense.
Just like any snapper or holder as well.
That's true.
If you're mentioning their name, it's probably for a bad reason.
Hey.
Well, there's a completion just the second of the day,
no.
and Star Thomas makes something happen, makes a couple guys miss, and he's racing down the sideline inside the 40 before he's finally chopped down by Tyreek James. That play should have amounted to really nothing, but Star Thomas made it happen.
Well, he turned it into a big play. We talk about big plays and how important they are.
A rare missed tackle from Tyrese Knight.
And a bad angle Hilton. There by Hilton.
They're two top leading tacklers.
Absolutely, and that just can't happen. I mean, it's a nice play by the running back there. I'm sorry, lost
Star Thomas.
Star Thomas. That was a really nice play. A big gain. That's I think their second big play of the game.
You know, that's something that Jerry Kill talked about this week, too, when he was calling out the offensive line, saying they needed to play better. He was saying at the same time the running backs, he's been telling them, sometimes the holes aren't going to be there, and you got to make your own play, and that's exactly what Star Thomas did there. And now Pavia is trying to make his own play, and look out for a flag. This could be a horse collar.
Ooh.
I don't see anything yet. That was
I thought
into the naked eye. I thought for sure that would be a flag.
I agree with you, Eric. I was waiting for the yellow hanky to come flying because it sure looked like he got into that horse collar area, and you can see it here on the replay.
And it doesn't have to just be on the back. It could be a little bit on the side there, which is –
oh, yeah.
He's got the jersey.
I mean, that was close.
That was close.
That was really close.
That was Elijah Johnson on the tackle. I think that was a good call, good no call by the officials because that was right on the jersey.
But had they called it, it would have been hard to argue against something like that.
You got to get those hands inside the actual
back part,
grabbing the back plate of the shoulder pads, and Johnson was dangerously close but didn't quite get there. And now the Aggies forced to take a timeout. A little bit of miscommunication there. 2nd and 5. Not exactly where you want to take your timeout. With 5:40 left in the third quarter, you're down 11 points. You really want to have those for later in the game as you're trying to make this comeback.
You're right, Eric. That's a very good point. You're going to need them. But at the same time, this is a very crucial call right now.
Sure.
You're still in a favorable spot. So instead of coming in and taking a chance on something not being right, it's probably a good time to take a timeout. I know Coach Kill probably didn't want to do it, but it's a good time to take one.
You wish you didn't have to, but the right call.
Right, correct.
2nd and 5. It'll be a critical possession here. They don't necessarily, obviously they want the touchdown, but you're right on the edge there of field goal range, and if you get 3 out of this, that does make it a one-score game. So either way, the biggest thing here for the Aggies, they're trying to get some points out of this drive.
That's a very good point. It's a two possession game, a 2-score game, and however you can get it, you're gonna want to score here.
Well, and this will move the chain. Star Thomas starting to find a little bit of rhythm after he made that big play on the screen pass, made 2 defenders miss, and now finds a bit of a hole. The sophomore transfer out of Coffeyville Community College, a native of Homer, Louisiana.
You know, again, that's just a good, tough run between the tackles. It takes a man to run in between there, and sure enough, Star Thomas has definitely done that the last couple of times he's touched the ball.
A lot of people were expecting the Michigan transfer Amari Samuels, redshirt senior, to start this year, but Jamani Jones and Star Thomas, 2 JUCO transfers, really impressed during the offseason heading into this season. Here's Pavia on the outside, gains 4 or 5 yards. Thomas got here a little bit later, but Jamani Jones was impressive. And then, of course, the transfer from TCU, Amante Watkins. So they've got 3 different guys there. Thomas and Jones are the big backs at 6'2", 225 and 6 feet 225. And then Watkins just has that burning speed. And then Pavia can hurt you with the legs, too, which is what he likes to do.
Yeah, he just made a nice move on Tyreek James there coming up from his safety spot to actually make what would have been maybe a loss into a positive play for the Aggies there. Yeah, Pavia's got a little bit of wiggle in him. He's not a bad runner.
And he's going to the air to the corner, and the pass is incomplete. Boy, it looked like for a moment there Justice Powers would have had a highlight reel catch, which he had last week at Minnesota on his only catch, a 34-yarder. That was just one of those you got mossed moments over the defender, and this one looked like it was going to match it potentially, but last minute that ball hit the ground.
Very nice play to come in here and just pull it out at the very end. He was out of bounds.
Even if he did hang on to it, his foot was out of bounds, but
that was a good play by Shelton to fight all the way to the end and help draw that ball loose.
Latrez Shelton, the guy that Dana Dimmel's really excited about, excited to get, a JUCO transfer out of Iowa Western Community College. He only played 1 year there, and Dana told me that if he had played another year there, he'd be getting exclusively Power 5 offers coming out of there. So I felt like they got a steal in him.
Yeah, really nice play by Shelton on that one.
3rd and 7. Pavia facing pressure, and he overthrows his receiver. That'll bring up 4th down, so the UTEP defense bends a little bit on this drive after giving up the big play to Star Thomas on the heels of a couple of missed tackles. But it looks like they don't completely break here, having to force the field goal attempt as the unit will come on. This will set up as a 37-yarder from the left hash for Ethan Albertson, whose only kick in this game was a blocked extra point because the blocking on the extra point was non-existent. See if they clean that up here.
Yeah, it came straight up the middle, which is not the pressure you want as a kicker. You can deal with the edges, but up the middle is hard, and hopefully we get some pressure again and get another deflection.
Albertson's got a big leg, 1 of 2 on the year, but this one leaking left, and it's wide left.
Oof, that's a big
so
miss.
The Aggies get nothing out of it.
Yeah, the Miners dodged a bullet there. It's a big miss by the kicker.
That's one you expect the redshirt junior out of San Diego, California to make.
Yeah, everything looked clean. Looked like a good snap, good hole. It just yanked a little bit, and, that's
There's some choice words there from Jerry Kill to Ethan Albertson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got your team playing hard right back in the game, and then the one thing you're supposed to do is put it to those uprights, and you fail to do that. That lets everybody down. The Miners need to settle down and get a drive going with a lot of running, start opening up some holes because it sets up everything else for them. They're not a drop-back passing team.
Well, they like to stay in the air here, and Gavin Hardison had Tyron Smith wide open. If he hits him in stride, there's a little bit of room there. It looked like that Smith could have made it really turn into a big play, but he skipped it by his feet.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good throw by Gavin. Usually he's pretty accurate, and it looked like he checked into that play. He gets these run-pass options, and from what he sees, he can check into it. That was a check-off into that. But I'm sure Dana might rein him in a little bit if he keeps missing people like that.
So now 2nd and 10. This time they keep it on the ground. Awatt following a blocker, has some room up across the 30-yard line, and they move the chains. So there's something finally to build on for the Miners. After a couple of 3-and-outs, and it looked like almost exclusively passing the football, they finally get back to the ground game, and look at this patient running. Following the right tackle, Awatt following the lead of Jeremiah Byers, who was pulling.
A nice block by Smith, the receiver for the Miners. Really good block at the point of attack there and kept his hands inside so he doesn't get called for holding.
The other thing that does, too, is starts to move the clock again.
Absolutely.
All those incompletions just kept.
You take an offensive series and you burn 40 seconds. That's not what you want to do.
He's going to throw it here. There they find the connection with Smith. Breaks a tackle across midfield inside the 45. And, boy, that play just feels like it's one broken tackle away from potentially being the home run play, which is probably why they keep going back to it. It's just they haven't connected. But finally, Hardison connecting with Tyron Smith.
Well, it's there. It's there. And then when you can execute it like that, you wonder why you can't do that. But we just haven't been able to execute it consistently. And it looks great when it works.
Hardison wearing number 2 this year. He's worn number 12 the last couple of years, of course, honoring the late Luke Laufenberg. And that's what it says on the back of his jersey, too, instead of his last name. So he throws one to the outside. It's caught by Ray Flores. I know UTEP fans who watch these broadcasts from afar every week certainly know the storyline with Gavin Hardison wearing the number 2 in honor of Luke Laufenberg. The stickers on the helmets that say Luke as well, but always important to bring that storyline up that this team continues to honor the late Luke Laufenberg, who lost his battle with cancer back in August of 2019, was a member of this minor team, and of course, the son of Babe Laufenberg.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him, Eric?
I have not, actually.
Luke
I know
was
he's here
kid.
frequently, and of course, he's on the radio broadcast with the Dallas Cowboys.
Well,
follow him on Twitter.
I was talking about the son while he was here. He was just a great kid. And then you meet his dad, and you can see why.
See where it comes from.
I mean, but he was such a good kid, and so unfortunate. I mean, take such a young, good soul For some reason, we don't know why that happens to kids that young, but unfortunate. And good family. Laufenberg family is really good. We send our regards to them.
Of course, they have a cafe in the training center there, too, and the Larry K. Durham Center as well, named after him. So he'll forever be a part of this program.
Absolutely.
And it was going to be worn by Jacob Cowing when he was initially going to stay, but Cowing elected to instead transfer and go back closer to home in Arizona where he has a young son. But the neat thing about that is Cowing is wearing number 2 at Arizona, and he's doing that to honor Luke Laufenberg even from afar as things are starting to get a little chippy here. And, of course, he's delivering. He had 3 touchdown catches in the win at San Diego State last week.
You know, Eric, I watched that game, and, man, he made it look easy.
Yeah.
He really made it look easy. And
well, I think it's pretty clear he's going to be an NFL guy.
yeah, he's special. You could tell he was special, 3 years ago when he first came on the scene. And, kids like that, I mean, it's you can tell right away when they got that special gift.
This will be 2nd and 8. We're now inside a minute in this third quarter. Awatt trying to bounce it to the outside, but a nice play made by Marcus Buckley, who had a sack earlier in this half as well. So the defensive tackle, Buckley, and defensive end, Lazarus Williams, have been making their presence felt throughout tonight. If Buckley doesn't make that tackle, Awatt might have some space on the outside.
Yeah, here we are in that 3rd and long, unfavorable position for offenses, but it's been a good drive by the Miners. You just don't want to do anything silly. Maybe give yourself a long field goal opportunity or an opportunity to go for it if you get some good yards on 4th down.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them try and get some yardage here and even go for it on 4th down. They're going to go for the big shot, though, instead to Ray Flores. He was in a battle there. No flag on the play, overthrown and incomplete. And Ray Flores looking around, thinking maybe there was going to be some laundry, but that looked like some good coverage on the outside, as it was just a one-on-one battle, and it was Cyrus Dumas on the coverage.
Yeah, I don't like this. A one-on-one, one receiver, one-on-one route. Not a whole lot of option. Hard thing to hit. Really good coverage by the New Mexico State secondary.
And that sets up a big field goal here for Gavin Beckley. This will officially go down as a 46-yard attempt from the left hash. He's 1 for 1 today. The first one a 29-yarder. And this one is up and right down the middle. So after that first miss in week 0 on the first drive of the season, Beckley has atoned for that nicely. Now up to 6 for 7 on the year from in the field goal department, including a couple of bombs at Oklahoma last weekend. But that one pushes the lead back to 13 with 5 seconds left to play in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's a big kick right there by Beckley. I mean, you come
14,
back.
Excuse me.
Your counterpart just missed a big kick, and then you come back. I mean, that really will draw raves from his teammates. It's
a 6-point swing right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big play right there, and good for Gavin. He's a good kid, and glad to see he's off to a pretty good start to the season.
So it's now a 2-touchdown game when just a few minutes ago we thought the Aggies might be able to get it back to a 1-score game.
Yeah, I mean, it was good to see the Miners come back with the running game a little bit to set up some of the passes. And, good things happen when you run the ball. It opens up things to across the middle of the field where you can pass. And that was a good drive where they went down and got some points and also chewed up some minutes on the clock, Eric. That was probably the most important thing of all was they were able to chew off a lot of time.
Yeah, leaving just 5 seconds left in this third quarter. All of Beckley's kickoffs have gone through the end zone, no returns, and this will be the same. They're all landing almost in the exact same spot, too. And so we'll still have one more play, likely just one more play here in this third quarter, barring a very quick incompletion. And I would imagine the Aggies are going to keep sticking with Pavia at quarterback. He's in the huddle right now. We haven't seen Gavin Frakes since he got pulled after starting this game, his first career start.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say they're probably going to go with Pavia the rest of the way here, unless there's some type of injury or maybe they need a bigger arm on a Hail Mary pass or something. But I think he's come in and kind of settled the offense down a bit and is doing pretty well in the second half.
The guy who's really shined, though, in the last couple of drives is Star Thomas,
yes,
the running back.
He really has. Oh.
There's an end around and a nice tackle by Colby Hilton. Cutting the legs out of Amonte Watkins, and he's the speed guy, so you don't want to let him get into open space. But Hilton came flying in to make the play and keep it to just a gain of 1, and that'll be the final play of the third quarter. Put 15 more minutes up on the clock for the final quarter of the 99th Battle of I-10, with the Miners leading 20-6. Final 15 minutes on the clock here to start the fourth quarter. Eric Elkin alongside Mike Perez, the former UTEP quarterback. This 99th edition of the Battle of I-10, and it's going the way of the Miners at this point. But still plenty of time for things to change for NMSU, trailing by 2 touchdowns. 2nd and 9 coming out of the quarter break, and here's Pavia breaking a couple of tackles, still on his feet up near the 30-yard line. And what has been a pretty sure tackling defense all of a sudden on the last drive and right there showing a little bit of sloppiness.
Take a guess who that was, Eric. Tyrese Knight.
Tyrese Knight was in there, yep.
Yep, he ran him down and got him by the feet and brought him down. Nice pursuit here. You
Keep
can
your
watch.
eye on number 10 here.
Yep.
10 on 10.
Yep. That kid's fun to watch, I'm telling you, as somebody who's played, and you just enjoy watching him.
And he's so critical right now because the linebacker position's a little bit thin with injuries, and Breon Hayward still trying to deal with the waiver situation. As on 3rd down, finally a connection through the air. It is caught by Chris Bellamy, enough for the first down to move the chains. That's just the 3rd completion of the evening for the Aggies. 2 for Pavia, 1 from Gavin Frakes before he was pulled.
Yep. A big completion there. Keep the Aggie drive alive. I mean, you're getting critical now. You're down to maybe 3, maybe a 4th possession if you're lucky, but you got to come up with points on, a couple of these possessions here to get back in the game.
So it's 1st and 10. Get back to the ground game with Star Thomas, who had some success on the last drive. Doesn't find much room in that defensive front this time around. Picks up, call it about 1.5, 2 yards with his forward momentum.
Yeah, it's a good play by the defensive line to stuff that and get the Aggies in a tougher down and distance here. Right now the defense is winning the battle of downs and distance, but let's see what New Mexico State has in their book to get back on the plus side.
Points have been hard to come by for the Aggies. Just 12 in the opening loss to Nevada, and 2 of those coming in the form of a safety. Got shut out at Minnesota last Thursday, and just 6 points to show for through 3+ quarters here. And now they'll be facing a 3rd and long. Well, 3rd and medium. They'll mark him down just shy of the 40-yard line, so it'll be 3rd and 5.
I tell you what, Blake Thompson has had a lot of penetration. He's coming off the field now, and he's exhausted, but he's played a really good game. That was him that forced the back to have to go outside, and then all his posse met him.
Well, they've been hearing a lot of different names on the defensive front for UTEP. Dana Dimmel saying coming into this one he expected to play 13 guys on the defensive line alone. Just shows you the depth of their rotation that they have. They've
got some really, really good players on that defensive front. That's why I was kind of surprised that North Texas ran the ball as well as they did on us. And tonight they've stepped it up and done a good job against the run.
Miners showing a blitz, and they bring the heat. Pavia's got time, though, and he finds his receiver once again, Chris Bellamy. Boy, the line, they've been challenged this week to play better by Jerry Kill. That time they gave Pavia enough time even facing the pressure.
Yeah, they picked up everything. They brought the house, the kitchen sink, and nice pitch and catch. But it all started with the offensive line giving Pavia some time to get comfortable in the pocket and make a nice throw.
Bellamy came into tonight with just 1 catch for 9 yards. He's got 2 here on this drive. JUCO transfer out of Coffeyville Community College. Pavia with time again. And his pass is dropped by his wide receiver, Terrell Warner. That's been a problem for this Aggie offense. Drops throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, and that one you can't put on the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice throw by Pavia. You can tell he doesn't have the strongest arm, but, I mean, he hit him right where you can't place it any better than that. And That's just taking your eyes off the ball right there.
No, that's the difference between now 2nd and 10 and what would have been 2nd and less than a yard, and that's not counting if you got anything after the catch.
Yeah, we talk about staying ahead of the sticks all the time, and this is now as a coordinator, you got to say, like, man, this is got a tougher spot now. I got to come up with a nice call.
Thomas will try to stretch it to the outside. There's a flag that comes in the backfield, so this one's likely to come back.
Yeah, when the referee throws it like that, it's usually a holding.
I don't know if you caught that there. Maurice Westmoreland might want to be careful. He gave a little. Oh, they pick up the flag, so there's no holding penalty. But just to complete the thought there, I noticed Westmoreland clashed the face masks a little bit, getting the face of Star Thomas. If the officials were looking and feeling like they're wanting to tame the intensity of a rivalry, they could have easily thrown a flag there.
Yeah, nowadays it doesn't take much.
No.
I mean, they're taught to protect the game, and they don't want anything to get out of hand. So the way to nip that in the bud is to control it by flagging people for any type of intimidation or taunting or anything like that. So we got to be real careful.
So because of picking up the flag, it's a gain of 1. It sets up 3rd and 8. Miners once again showing blitz. This time they don't come. Set up the screen to Jones. Jones cuts it upfield and has enough for the first down up across the 35-yard line.
Yeah,
it's good patience from Jamani Jones.
Same screen they ran on their first offensive possession of the game. It's the exact same one, and they got him again. Kind of anticipated the blitz, and real nice job of the offensive line of picking up the blocks and enough for the first down.
Yeah, closing out Tyrese Knight, who was there licking his chops trying to get ready to make another tackle.
Yeah, it's hard when it's 1 against 3. I mean, no matter how good you are, chances are you're going to get blocked.
That's a good job by Jones, though, to cut that back up the field. If he keeps his momentum going towards the outside, he's going to run right into Tyrese Knight.
Yep.
And here's Jones on the ground with some room. Gets up near the 25-yard line. Again, a little extracurricular, and Jones pleading his case for that flag, but nothing thrown yet. But you can feel if a couple more of those plays happen, it's only going to increase the likelihood of the officials finally throwing one.
Guess who made that tackle again?
And it's right there. That actually, I mean, you could have easily thrown the flag on Tyrese Knight there.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, no reason to do that. You can't get careless. Make a play, get up, go back to the huddle. That's what your job is.
Quarterback keeper for Pavia. Gets up near the line of scrimmage, picks up about 2, bring up 3rd and short.
Yep, this is another big down, and who comes up with the stop or the conversion? This is going to be a big play in the game. So right now, as a defensive coordinator, you're coming up with your best call, and an offensive coordinator, you're coming up with what you think that your counterpart's going to do to counter what he's doing. It's a big chess match, and it's sometimes beautiful to see who wins and who gets outguessed.
Barring a big loss here, can't imagine this isn't 2-down territory at this point with the way the kicking game has gone tonight for the Aggies and down 2 touchdowns, approaching 8.5 left to play. They'll try and get it here on 3rd down, and it's going to be close, but not enough for Jamani Jones. So now it's time for that decision for Jerry Kill. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't keep the offense on the field.
Yeah, I think you go for it here and try with 4th and short to come up with a good play where you can keep this drive alive or go score now.
A field goal doesn't do you a whole lot of good because it's still a 2-score game.
Correct.
You haven't made a kick. You had an extra point blocked and missed a field goal. So none of that makes a whole lot of sense, especially when it's only 4th and they call it 1, but it's really about 1.5 yards that they're going to need.
Yeah, it's a big call here, and I expect Bradley Dale Pivito to bring some pressure.
They need to get just shy of the 22-yard line. You can see the sticks there at the top of your screen.
So see, there you go. You get a timeout.
The play clock was winding down, and Jerry Kill just threw his headset.
Yeah, you probably
talked earlier about having to use a timeout on a 2nd and 5 in the middle of a drive where they didn't really want to have to. And now they have to burn another one here, and now there's 7:50 left in the game. You're down 2 touchdowns. And now you're down to 1 timeout.
Yeah, again, Eric, we talk about how Kill's staff has only been around for, so long, and they still have a lot of things to figure out. And when you get into positions like this, in the heat of the game, sometimes somebody's off or doesn't know personnel's in there correctly, and you have to burn a timeout. And unfortunately, those are the growing pains that new staffs have to go through.
And we're going to burn a timeout with them as well, so we'll step aside with 7:50 left to play. 4th and 1, huge play in this Battle of I-10, the 99th Battle of I-10. Aggies need about 1.5 yards to keep this drive going. Pavia in the gun. They hand it off up the middle, and it looks like it's enough. It is enough for a first down for Jamani Jones. So the drive extends for the Aggies. That was a chance for the Miner defense to try and get off the field, but the offensive line answers the call, pushing the pile forward and giving enough room for Jamani Jones.
Yeah, they ran right on the left side over Gabe Presidia and Javon Brown, and they did a nice job of moving that defensive line out. Nice first down.
So now what can the Aggies do with a fresh set of downs? Just on the edge of the red zone, just outside the 20-yard line. Star Thomas now in the red zone and looking for more. He surges his way all the way up across the 11-yard line, just shy of the 10, so it'll be a first down, and I think they'll mark it just outside the 10-yard line, so they might still be able to get a first down here. I don't know that this will be goal to go. It looks like they are putting it right on the 10, and they put the sticks down, so it'll be first and goal from the 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, it looks like the Aggies have found their running back. Star Thomas is really
turning into a star here tonight.
Yeah, he's put an exclamation point on that position, and he's playing really well.
Pavia keeps this time, and he has nowhere to go. Good contained Kobe Hilton there, along with Preza Mehule, not giving Pavia any room, and it'll be a loss of 1 on the play.
Yeah, it looked like he misread that. He should have handed it all. He should have handed the ball and Praise. And
Praise is a guy who's just loaded up the stat sheet over the last couple of years. Off to a bit of a slow start statistically speaking. Came into tonight with just a tackle and 1 fumble recovery through the first 2 games. But he's a guy who disrupts everything for the offense with a 6'10" wingspan.
He looks so good in a uniform, doesn't he? I mean, that's the defensive end built.
He had 13 tackles for loss last year, 5.5 sacks, 10 quarterback hurries, 7 pass breakups with that wingspan. It's only a matter of time for him before the stats keep coming. Pavia is able to turn away from that one, looking for the pylon, and he's got it! Touchdown, Aggies!
Wow. Nice play by Pavia there. Sure looked like there was a clip right at the end. That was close. Right at the tail end of that play. May have looked like a block in the back, but it could have been right on the corner. Nope, he got in front of him. Nice block.
Second rushing touchdown of the night for Diego Pavia, who started the first 2 games of the season at quarterback, doing the duties off the bench tonight after Gavin Frakes, the true freshman, did not have much success in the early going, and now Pavia's really found some swagger. Yeah, Ethan Albertson had his PAT blocked, and this one is up and through. So the first converted kick of the night after a missed field goal and blocked PAT, an important one there because that one gets it to 7. And Tyrese Knight was not able to contain the edge there, and Pavia took advantage.
Yeah, nice little assist there by the slot receiver, Jordan Parker, to come in with a nice block to help his quarterback get into the end zone.
Fans getting into it here at the Sun Bowl to the tune of some Journey, who actually just performed over the summer up the road in Las Cruces at the Pan American Center, believe it or not. Journey still on the road. And the Miner faithful hoping to, well, it's really the Aggies who are the ones saying don't stop believing right now, because they're only down 7 despite all stats, I should say, and what feels like odds stacked against them in this game, but the Miners have let them hang around.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the first half, and here we are again. We let them back in, and here it is, a 1-score game with 5:43 to go. Anybody's game.
Miner offense really hasn't done much in this second half, just 3 points on a Gavin Beckley field goal and several 3-and-outs. And this would be a critical time for the Miners to put a drive together, as the kick will go through the end zone for a touchback. So with 5:43 left to play, the Miner offense will come back on the field at the 25-yard line and could, in theory, not give the ball back to the Aggies the whole way. I mean, they had a drive at the beginning of the play that took up more than 8 minutes on 17 plays, 63 yards. That took up 8 minutes and 18 seconds.
You know,
NMSU only has one timeout remaining.
I was just going to bring that up. Good catch. I mean, it's so important now to be able to use those timeouts to help your defense. But if the Miners get the ground game going, it's maybe only 3 first downs and you run this thing out.
That's what the Aggies have done in the second half, is get the ground game going. A lot of it thanks to that man right there, Diego Pavia, with 2 rushing touchdowns in this half. He was their leading rusher coming into this game and was the backup quarterback starting this game. And they're looking for another slant ball over the middle, this one over the head of Ray Flores. We've seen a similar play to that, mostly to Tyron Smith, several times throughout this game, but the conversion rate on it has not been very good. I can only recall about 1 or 2 of those that have really linked up.
I mean, that's got to be almost a precise pass. It wasn't really open, and you're asking for bad things to happen when you start forcing balls across the middle. Things get tipped, things get deflected, bounce up, and it could really change some things. But you'd like to see them run the ball and run this clock down.
Yeah, I was going to say it's essentially a free timeout for New Mexico State.
You're right, Eric. You basically gave them a free timeout.
And have nothing to show for it. This one they put in the chest of Ronald Awad, who jumps over a pile. And that forward momentum will give him a couple of yards, but it's going to set up a 3rd and long.
Yep, you know, it's one of the things that you want to avoid as much as an offense, 3rd and long, but seems like that's all we've kind of seen in the second half from UTEP and this offensive group. 3rd and 7s are hard to convert and, you know, hard to call. You know, everything's got to be right. The defense has an advantage. They can run twists and stunts up front and play coverages, you know, play schemes with their coverages, so it makes it tough.
5 minutes left to play. Aggies showing blitz. They're coming. Hardison throws as he's backpedaling. He connects with Tyron Smith, but it's short of the sticks. It'll bring up 4th down, and the Aggie defense forces a 3 and out. There's really no decision to be made here from Dana Dimel. You've got to punt the ball away.
Yep, I mean, that's correct. Good job by New Mexico State coming in. Remember, this is a rookie defensive coordinator. He's one of the youngest D coordinators in the country at any level, and I think he's called a pretty exceptional game tonight.
I'm talking about Nate Dreiling at 31 years old.
31.
He's the 2nd youngest defensive coordinator in all of FBS. The only one younger than him is Austin Armstrong, who's 29 years old at Southern Miss.
Yeah, to get that type of blessing from Coach Gill really speaks volumes about how impressed they are with this kid, because Coach Gill has a really great record.
Sloan just barely gets that punt away, a low one, but a fortuitous bounce fielded on a hop by New Mexico State and taken back to about the 28-yard line. The return on the play by Lawrence Dixon got a couple of yards out of it, but more importantly, I think fielding that, not allowing that to continue to roll, was a smart play by Dixon. So with 4 minutes exactly left on the clock in this 99th battle of I-10, it is a 1-score game with the team trailing by a touchdown, getting the football. Have an exciting finish for you coming up after this. Exactly 4 minutes left on the clock. New Mexico State trailing by 7, and with the football, starting this drive at their own 27-yard line. Diego Pavia, coming off the bench at quarterback, has 2 rushing touchdowns in this second half and has really given them a spark, along with Star Thomas, who gets the 1st down carry. And he gets up to about the 30-yard line, so a pickup of 3.
Yeah, it's a really nice play there by Jadarian Taylor, kind of breaking the line of scrimmage and making initial contact for a nice short pickup there, but they were still able to get some positive yards.
I don't think clock is too much of a factor yet. New Mexico State can still run the offense it wants to run with the 1 timeout, 3.5 minutes to play, needing the 1 score. But you're likely going to be in 4-down territory pretty much this whole drive.
Yeah, that's correct, Eric. I mean, it's win the game or tie the game.
Star Thomas with a hole, and he's right up near the sticks. It looks like they'll move with the chains for a 1st down. He was tripped up, almost got to that next level. That could have really gotten him in the open field.
Yeah, and this has got to be, discouraging for the defensive staff that they're running the ball right between the tackles on us, and that's supposed to be, a real strong point for us. And it just, right now they're having a lot of success in the second half running the ball between the tackles on us.
It was enough for a 1st down. 1st and 10 from the 37. Pavia facing a little pressure, but finds a seam and has midfield, and he slides, and there comes the flag. It's going to be a personal foul in addition, so he's taken down about the 50. He had another 15 yards, and just like that, New Mexico State is going to be well into UTEP territory unless they pick up this flag, but I don't think they will. There is an Aggie player down in the backfield. They end up calling it on Latrez Shelton.
Yeah, wow, that's
one of those tough plays, though, where you're being aggressive on defense. The quarterback, who is a running quarterback, and he slides last minute, see if it's egregious. And they're both just going in there trying to make a play. They actually called it on Shelton, but it looks like Tyrese Knight provided the bigger hit. And then there comes the flag. You see the reaction from Tyrese Knight. I think that's the sentiment for a lot of defenders these days in this era of the game is, what are we supposed to do?
I mean, there's no guarantee the guy's going to slide. I mean,
he could fake the slide and keep going.
You've seen it. You saw it happen in college and in the pros last year. But I don't know how you stop when you're running full speed at somebody. It wasn't a helmet-to-helmet shot. It was a shoulder into the chest. I mean, we're playing football here. But
there is
that being said, that's a rule that they put in, and it gets called a lot. Sometimes you benefit from it, but sometimes you don't.
The injured Aggie was Gabe Presidio, the left tackle, coming off gingerly. We'll take a timeout with the injury timeout. 2:39 left. Shiza Pete now in at left tackle for Gabe Preciado, who went off with the injury. So a new left tackle for New Mexico State, the sophomore out of Missoula, Montana. But a 15-yard penalty tacked on. It's 1st and 10 from the 37-yard line after the unnecessary roughness on the late quarterback hit. Pavia is hit as he throws, and it's caught on a bounce. Star Thomas still running, no whistles. Thomas inside the 10 and in for the touchdown. Are they calling that a fumble recovered by Thomas and advanced in for a score? UTEP stopped playing thinking it was incomplete.
They could have called a lateral because it might have been a lateral as well.
Right now it's ruled a touchdown. We're going to have to take a look at the replay. I would be shocked if this thing is not reviewed. Pavia is getting rid of it as he's throwing it. Okay, that's clearly a throw. It's just a matter of whether or not that's forward or backwards. If that's forward, that's incomplete.
It looked like a lateral to me. I can't tell because it's an end zone view, but that side view should be able to.
Yeah, now it's going to be reviewed. You're going to need that sideline angle
to see if that was a lateral or not.
And the tricky thing here, too, if you're a UTEP fan, you're going to be feeling very nervous right now because they ruled it a touchdown. You need the indisputable video evidence to overturn it. So do you have the right angle down the line to decide one way or another if this is a forward lateral, a forward pass or a lateral that was behind the line of scrimmage?
But then again, you know, the kids should keep playing till the whistle blows, but you just got, you know, a rough in the passer late hit call on Tyrese Knight, so you're kind of nervous about it, but you still got to play till the whistle blows, and unfortunately we didn't do that.
I'm going to take a look at the replay here.
So he's at the 30. Yeah, that's forward.
I don't see how that could not be ruled forward.
It's a forward pass.
And that's why UTEP stopped playing. I mean, that one seemed pretty obvious to the naked eye. I was surprised. But, I mean, that's a heads-up play by Star Thomas to scoop that ball up and start running with it.
You didn't hear a whistle, but
here's another look at it. So he's at the 40, about the 43-yard line, stepping into it, 42, 43-yard line. He's hit there.
That's forward.
And Star Thomas is fielding that
so it lands at
just inside the 42.
42, yeah.
And the official just ruled incomplete. And I didn't hear the audio there, but he just overturned the call. So it is an incomplete pass. And there's a loud cheer here and collective sigh, I think, from the Sun Bowl Stadium here, the fans that are donning the blue and orange.
Well, let's hope UTEP can step up and make, you know, a couple of big plays and put this thing out of reach.
Well, it was the first time in a while that they've gotten some pressure on Pavia, too. So that's an encouraging sign if you're UTEP. You didn't quite get to him, but you made him feel a little uncomfortable. And now this has gotten the crowd back into it as well.
It'd be
Second
nice,
and 10.
Be nice to see Praise and Jadarian Taylor put some pressure on him and get a sack.
Handoff is to Jones. There's a flag that comes in, 2 of them that come in around the line of scrimmage in the vicinity of a hold. The only other thing that caught my eye pre-snap was Praise where he was lined up. He was close to being in the neutral zone, but this is against NMSU. And Mike, you talk so much about down and distance and trying to keep ahead of the chains. This is all of a sudden becoming a very tall task for New Mexico State.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult because now the defense has all the advantages on you. They can blitz from wherever they want.
There is an injured minor down, so that's the delay here. You can see it on the left side of your screen there. Trying to catch a number there. It's difficult to see from our vantage point. There's a look at Jerry Kill in his first season at New Mexico State. He's 2014 Big Ten Coach of the Year for Minnesota, but obviously people know the story, having to resign and leave that post after health concerns. Finally felt like this was the time to get back into head coaching after going 2-2 as an interim coach at TCU last year. He is the 8th winningest coach in all of FBS entering this season. 154 wins in 23 seasons as a head coach. He's considered the fix-it guy. He's done a lot of tremendous work. Southern Illinois, Northern Illinois, turning those programs around. Did the same in Big Ten, in the Big Ten with Minnesota.
Very well respected. Does a great job everywhere he goes. It's going to take time, but he's going to do a good job at New Mexico State.
And you know what? This was actually a 15-yard penalty. It's now 2nd and 25, so they must have gotten one of those illegal blocks, chop blocks again. So instead of a 10-yard holding penalty, it's 15. It's 2nd and 25. Pavia is facing pressure from Praise Amehule. He dumps it off to Star Thomas, who makes the catch and is able to get a little bit of it back. Amehule was in hot pursuit. Pavia got a late block on Amehule that gave him just enough time to get that off to his running back.
Yeah, it's a real good play. It looked like Wallerstedt was in on that play, and he sniffed out the screen they were trying to throw, and he still stayed after it. You can see Wallerstedt over there all over it. Makes a nice play and comes up and makes a nice tackle.
A.J. Vaipulu was the one who made that block on Praise Amehule, who might have saved Pavia from being knocked into tomorrow. So that sets up 3rd and 19 after the gain of 6. 4-down territory for the Aggies. Pavia with loads of time, trying to find someone open, still dancing around. Now he's got room to run. Across the 35 and then taken down, a high tackle, no flag on the play. Tyrese Knight making the play, and it's a little bit short of the 1st down marker, but it makes it a much more manageable 4th down. It'll be about 4th and 5, and I'm sure the UTEP sideline taking a little bit of a gasp there on the tackle as well, worried that a flag was going to come in.
Yeah, it sure looked like it. He got high up in the head area, and anytime you go there, especially at a quarterback, chances are pretty high they're going to see the the yellow flag come out, but and thank goodness they didn't call anything.
So it'll be 4th and 5. Now less than a minute to play. This clock melting away.
Here's the game.
Down to 50 seconds. It all comes down to this drive.
Timeout.
And a timeout taken, the final one left for New Mexico State, but couldn't think of a more appropriate time to take it. This is the ball game hanging in the balance on this play.
Yeah, there you can come up with your best fourth. Every coordinator has a chart with about 10 special plays that this is my play that I like against this matchup. That's what they're going to do.
What would you do?
Well, you got to see.
Haven't had a ton of success throwing the football, but Pavia's been able to create with his legs, and Star Thomas has done some nice things here in the second half as well.
I could see them doing a run-pass option with Pavia. Now that he's on this hash, they're probably going to roll him to the right somehow, and either he keeps it or he can throw it, and give you the more options. You look at what is Bradley Dale Pivito going to do. I'm sure they've studied their tendencies and they know that he brings a lot of pressure. So Pivito's probably say, hey, let's drop into coverage. We know he's probably going to roll out, but it's just a chess game, and whoever wins here probably gets the victory, or it's not over yet, but is going to
Well, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with it all coming down to this play for now, but it does enter the back of your mind too. Does Jerry Kittle go for a win instead of a tie if they get in the end zone? We'll address that in a little bit here. See what happens on 4th and 5. Need to get to the 27-yard line. Crowd on its feet. 49 seconds left. They bring pressure. Pavia gets it off in time, and it's complete for the first down over the middle. So the drive is extended. The clock will stop as they reset the chains. 44 seconds left.
Wow, that's a big throw and catch there by.
And now a timeout taken by UTEP.
Yep. You got to hand it to Diego Pavia. I mean, he's had difficulty throwing the ball all night long. Some of his receivers have dropped, but he stepped right into the pressure and took a shot right as he let that ball go and made a nice completion on a slant route to his receiver.
You can see the wide receiver coach, Tony Sanchez, in the middle of that huddle, pumping his guys up as they came back to the sideline. He's one of the few guys on that sideline who knows this rivalry. He played in the game in the mid-'90s, and he was the one who gave the big speech at the beginning of the week to this group of Aggies who most of them know little to anything about this rivalry, haven't played in it.
Watch the hit Pavia takes here. I mean, Tyrese Knight came in and just gave him a nice wallop, but that's a good throw, good catch into tight coverage.
And it's Jonathan Brady who had 2 carries on a reverse and an end around in the first half for 50 yards. Those 2 went for. So he's had a couple of big plays in this one.
You know, when you look at that, it's a good play call by both coordinators. Good play by the offense and defense. Sometimes you just tip your hat. The offense made a better play.
And now clock is a major factor. Aggies without a timeout left. 40 seconds to go. Fresh set of downs. Pavia taking a shot in the end zone, and it's incomplete. No flag on the play. There was a good battle there in the corner.
Yeah, there was a lot of hand fighting going on over there, but, you know, probably a good no call. You would hate to see Tyrese Knight got a little high up near the face mask. You got to be real careful with that because now they'll call you for anything if you hit him in the quarterback anywhere near the face. That's a good no call.
A little bit of contact there with Cordell David, the intended receiver. Elijah Johnson in the coverage. He's had a good night for the Miners. And so that play takes 6 seconds off the clock. Now 2nd and 10 with 34 seconds to go. Miners showing blitz. Pavia under duress, throws it away at the last second. It's incomplete. Question is, was there anyone in the area?
Ooh.
Don't see a flag on the play yet. They are pointing at someone. It looks like maybe they're going to give him credit for, take a look at the replay to see what eligible receiver they're saying was in the area. And you don't see one in that shot.
Yeah, I sure didn't see one, but
Tyrese Knight in the middle of it once again.
Again, a smart play by a quarterback just getting rid of it. You can't take that sack. It would run too much time.
It would almost end the game.
Yeah, so smart play. Give your team one last breath. 4-2 in this instance.
Yeah, still at least 2 plays barring turnover. 3rd down and 10 with 30 seconds left. Miners bring pressure again. Complete over the middle. It is Jonathan Brady again, and it is enough for a first down. So that will stop the clock at 24 seconds before the chains reset. Aggies are quick to snap it. They're not going to spike it. Pavia on the run, and the pass is incomplete. He was looking for Cordell David. And with 15 seconds to go, that'll stop the clock. And there is an injured Miner down on the field, so there'll be a little bit of a delay here.
Boy, one of the coaches is really getting up in Pavia's face. I think they wanted to take it, kill the clock, and he was up on it. He was yelling at him pretty intensely. Yeah, it was Coach Kill. He was the one doing it.
Because the down doesn't really make a whole lot of difference at that point, because you might not have enough time left to even get 4 downs in.
And you could tell that's exactly what Coach Kill was telling him. He pointed at the clock and said, hey, you got to know that right now we got 3 downs
with the 3
anyway.
plays as opposed to saving an extra play and having more precious seconds come off the clock. Injured player was Jadrian Taylor. He's walking under his own power. He'll have to come off for at least a play. He is one of their star players on the defensive line, but they have a huge rotation, so they'll just bring another guy in, probably Maurice Westmoreland.
And Jadarian is a really good kid. I've got to know him on a personal level, and he's just an excellent kid from Lufkin, Texas. I asked him, I say, well, where's Lufkin? He goes, it's in the sticks, Mr. Perez. I was like, okay. I know it's in East Texas somewhere, but he called it the sticks. And but a good kid, all-around good kid.
And a great battle of I-10 99th edition here coming down to the final plays. 15 seconds left. Aggies need a touchdown and an extra point to tie or a two-pointer to go ahead. All sorts of pressure coming towards Pavi. Throws it in the end zone, but it's short-hopped. He was looking for Cordell David, who's wanting a flag, and he's a little slow to get up, but doesn't get any laundry on the field. That took 5 seconds, so we're down to 10 seconds left in this one.
All right, Bradley's bringing the kitchen sink. Bradley Del Pivito's bringing the kitchen sink at this offense and Pavia.
And that was blanket coverage. Once again, Elijah Johnson. You can see why Cordell David was asking for the flag. Johnson was all over him.
The Miners really got to be worried about a screen here because that's a perfect call into an all-out blitz like this.
10 seconds left. No timeouts remaining for the Aggies.
Yeah, they're going to sit back in coverage.
Pavia.
Yes.
Loses the football. It's on the turf. And it's picked up by the Miners. And that'll win the battle of I-10 for UTEP. And it's Cal Wallerstedt, of all people, making his first career start at linebacker because the Miners are so depleted at it by injury at the position. And it's the redshirt junior out of Harrisburg, North Carolina, who pounces on the football and secures the Battle of I-10 victory. And the Miners will hold on to the silver spade and brass spittoon.
Brighton Thompson came in and dislodged that ball out of Pavia's hands. Big play. I know Coach Dimmel said they were going to play a lot of people on that defensive line, but somebody who we hadn't heard of a whole lot comes in and makes a huge play. And you got to be happy for Wallerstedt. You know, his dad's a coach on the staff.
Defensive line coach.
Yep. And
as the defensive line making play after play.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be really happy for that kid.
Does that look say it all from Dana Dimmel, by the way?
I tell you.
Looks to the heavens,
you know,
and a big gasp.
Everybody could say, you know, we should have beat New Mexico State by 24 points. It's a rivalry, and it doesn't matter. We got the victory. UTEP's going to win this game and get their first victory of the year.
All it takes is one knee from Gavin Hardison, and the clock is at zeros. Miners only score 3 points in the second half and are able to hold on by a fingernail in the end and take the 20-13 win in the final battle of I-10 before these two become conference opponents next season, and the first matchup between Dana Dimmel and Jerry Kill.
Yeah, big victory for the Miners. I know it wasn't pretty. There's going to be a lot of things to correct on the film, but again, it's a victory, the first one of 2022, and a good way to send the Miners up to, up to Albuquerque to try to get a second victory.
And there's Tony Sanchez in the middle of it, the former Aggie, who tried to rally his troops ahead of this one. He's played in this game, coached at UNLV before, was also a head coach at Bishop Gorman before being brought on by Jerry Kill to this staff, and really tried to set the tone for the Aggies in this one. And, you know, credit them. It did not go well for them in that first half and really through about 2.5 quarters. And then all of a sudden they make the switch to Diego Pavia, who is coming off being essentially benched, and he really answered the call and scored a couple of rushing touchdowns. There's a look at the trophy in the middle. We've got 2 trophies, the silver spade and the brass spittoon.
You know, UTEP won the game, but you got to definitely, like you said, give Coach Kill and his staff and his players, kudos for coming out here. And they could have very easily tucked tail and, taken a beating in the second half, but they did a good job and fought back, made it a game.
And there's the silver spade in the middle, as well as the brass spittoon. So for the second straight year, it'll stay with the Miners. They won 30-3 last year. This one was a nail biter. They win 20-13.